welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by my audio avatar companion. It is, of course, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how the devil are you, sir?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic. I had a great weekend. I know many of our listeners, and by many I mean probably one or two, wonder how I fared at the church dance this past weekend. Myself and Amber had a lovely time. It's usually just her running around absolutely crazy because she does everything for said church dance. But we did win a raffle prize, Rob Goodwin. We won a bottle of wine and a whole bunch of wine glasses. So that was nice. That was nice that we won a certain raffle prize. But no, it's always a good time. I'm doing fantastic. It's really, it's just absolutely beautiful out. It is about 74 degrees Fahrenheit over here in the United States, and it's the first week of November. So that's always really good. Rob, you know that 9 times out of 10 when we start these podcasts, I like to leave everybody on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I like to give a little listener retention. So the listener retention, and usually when we do these listener retentions, it's at the end of the show. Now, granted, EO and Kyrie Watch at the end of the show is going to be amazing, so everybody stay put for that. Listener retention will be a little bit earlier in the show because, Rob Goodwin, I got some heat. I got a little bone to pick with 2 Stardom wrestlers. And those wrestlers, sir, and I'm just going to leave you hanging just a little bit. Those 2 wrestlers would be none other than Hazuki and Kagama. FWC. I have a bone to pick with them, literally to the point where, and I like to keep some stuff for podcast material because it makes for a great show. I literally typed out my bone to pick with them to you and then copied it, pasted it to Andy Hedder's text messages, and then deleted it. I figured I'd save for the show. So I know Andy Hedder's listening. I know he's pumping his fists, and he's like, absolutely, Matt Turner, you tell the best tag teamer in the world, FWC, what's going on. So, folks, just wait till we get, I think it might be the first Stardom show. Wait till we get to their first, I think it's either the first or second tag match. But I will tell you that I'm a little bit upset with 2 of my favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling. But regardless, brother, no, I'm doing fantastic. How's everything in your neck of the woods? And correct me if I'm wrong, you go back to football tonight.
I do indeed. Yeah, because in fact, I got told as I left work today by one of the big joiner men. Sort of went, how are your ribs, mate? I was like, yeah, they're all right now. Basically back to normal. And he went, don't go playing football again. And I didn't have the hard stand. I'm literally going to football almost straight from work. So fingers crossed nothing happens tonight. Because if I end up on crutches, I swear to God, I'm never going to be allowed to play sport again. But yeah, apart from that, everything is good. Can't really complain. We have, speaking of listener retention, although it's not really listener retention because you'll find out via social media in a couple of days' time, but we have got another interview that is going to be dropping on the website, on the podcast, and on YouTube as well. Our Natsumi Shozuki, people seem to really like. Our Mirai one, people seem to really like. We do have another Marigold podcast on its way. We're going to be recording the actual Marigold podcast on Monday this week and releasing the same day so that we can record our review, our preview of Korakuen Hall ahead of the Korakuen show. And we're also going to have our interview drop the week after. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on Monday, but just to keep you titillated, so to speak, because this interview, I really enjoyed doing this one, Matt.
Yeah, this was a good one. We just got our answers back. I think it was just yesterday. You literally texted me as I was recording another bonus episode for our fantastic friends and family of the Stardom cast. And I was like, oh, boy. So I cannot wait. Yeah, we had some really good questions with this said person. We're not going to spoil it just yet. I'm sure you can kind of figure out who it is. Marigold, big star there, put 2 and 2 together. We're not trying to be too cryptic here, but no, this was a really, really good one. And as always, thanks to our good buddy Sonny over there for allowing us to do this fantastic interview. But I'm super excited to be able to record I like how we do this. It's always nice that we release the transcript on the website, which again, kudos to you, partner. You do such a great job. But I like the fact that we do the podcast as well, so we can kind of get our reactions. I really, really enjoyed it. Literally to the point where with the Natsume Shizuki one, because somehow it transitioned to me basically cosplaying as New Jack when I was in high school. I had a whole bunch of people tweeting at me and messaging me pictures of New Jack. And at first I'm like, why am I getting pictures of New Jack? And I'm like, oh, that's right, because I had to go back and listen to it. So I love that. I love how much of our fans really interact with us. It really puts a really big smile on my face. But no, I'm super excited to record this one with you and have our fantastic listeners of the Marigold Standard listen to another great interview that myself and you, Mr. Rob Goodwin, the Passion Package himself, did with a fantastic wrestler over there at Marigold.
I mean, it does sort of show just how different talent shows are between the US and the UK. Because I was thinking about this after you announced to everyone that you were basically blading and smashing everyone up.
That didn't happen. I can cut myself.
I didn't gig, brother. Doesn't work for me. But yeah, so I was thinking about this and I was like, the only talent shows I remember are the really, really petty ones where, like, you've got kids who can't play the violin just, going, he, and you're like, that was Greensleeves. And you're like, was it? Was it Greensleeves? Okay, I'll take your word for it. And, 350 bands covering American Idiot by Green Day. So our sort of talent shows were very, very, very different, weren't they?
I think it might have just been me. Rob, if there's anything to even taken away from us in this darn near 3 years of friendship we've had, is I'm a horse of a different color. And I own up to it, my man. I'm a little, and not only that, but you've met a lot of my friends, especially the Forge friends. They're a little bit on the fun side as well, shall we say, if we're gonna keep it as a positive spin. But no, yeah, really, really fun stuff. But it did sound like we were just meeting there. Sounded like a garbage truck backing up. So that's what happened at your talent shows in high school.
Yeah, that's it. Really, that's it. Just me trying to play an instrument, people putting me in a garbage truck like Eric Bischoff because I just can't play them. So. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have got an absolutely slammed show for you. It's a good job, really, that we haven't got a lot in the way of news to go through today because we have got 4 goddesses of Stardom Tag League shows. Now, full disclosure, I didn't watch any of these shows live. There's been a little bit of a discrepancy with Stardom World, with the shows being up, then the shows being taken down, then the shows being chopped up, then the shows back into their elongated form. So unfortunately, by the time they'd re-uploaded the show, Suzu Suzuki's homecoming show, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I've been at work. So I've seen the first 3 that we're going to be talking about, but the last show with Azumi versus Suzu Suzuki and what I believe to be a phenomenal tag team match between SaoriPoi and Wingori will unfortunately be just Matt talking you through them. However, before we kick into any of that, where we are with the tag league, the winners, the losers, and the almost maybes in this tag league so far, Matt Turner, please regale us what is coming up on our Patreon this week.
Our Patreon, we dropped a whole bunch of episodes, and thank you, Mr. Rob Goodwin. You had to edit, do the thumbnail, and put all these up. There is a whole bunch of fantastic content that we sent out over the last 7 or 8 days to our fantastic Patreon members over there at the Stardom Cast Extra. Our alternate commentary. Yeah, I'm excited, folks. The alternate commentary was Mayu Utani taking on Momo Watanabe in the quarterfinals of the IWGP Women's Championship back from Cork and Hall from 2022. And then we do have What If myself and Andy Header were to fantasy book historic crossover where it's basically New Japan and Stardom, but any era of any New Japan wrestler and any era of Stardom. And I did make mention last week, and I'll make mention again, that Andy Header made his own names for his historic crossover teams, which is really, really fun. We also did our roundtable discussion. I'm once again joined by one Andy Header, as our roundtable discussion was give us the top 5 favorite Gai Kikuchi matches. That was a whole host of fun. And then later this week, I will be recording Tag Team Breakdown with Andy Header, as we going back to the greatest Stardom show of all time, in my opinion, Artist of Stardom Championship as Prominence. Karuma Hiragi, Suzu Suzuki, and Risa Sera taking on the team of Restart of Kairi, Natsupoi, and Soriano. That'll be our tag team breakdown. That'll probably be in your Patreon feeds in the next week or so. And this isn't going to be on Patreon. This is free for all. But once a month, we'll do a retrospective. And this month's retrospective is Rob Goodwin, that I have finished the 5-star Grand Prix finals. So I went back and watched the finals of the 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 5-star Grand Prix finals. That I actually recorded that yesterday, and that should be free on everybody's feed within the next week or so. And then what I did as a little bonus, Rob Goodwin, is I rated from 13 all the way to 1 my favorite 5-star Grand Prix finals. So yeah, that was a whole bunch of fun that I was able to watch all 13 finals of every single 5-star Grand Prix and then went back and give them a rating. But this one, I mean, it's always easy watching Stardom and always easy watching Marigold because it's great wrestling. This last one was really, really easy because they had Momo versus Shiri, Tam versus Julia, Micah versus Suzuki, and Micah versus Saya Kamatani.
The hard life, it really is.
I tell you what I do for you folks over here at the Stardom Cast, boy howdy. But yeah, a lot of great stuff that we have, past, present, and future coming up on the Stardom Cast Extra. And I did mention this on social media, and I'll make mention of it now because I know a lot of people are trying to stay off social media for reasons over here in the United States we refuse to talk about this week. But yes, for anybody that has been with us for the past 2 years, every December we do a Christmas theme. 2 years ago we did a Mary Mayu Christmas. Last year we did a Queen's Quest Christmas. Well, this year we're doing a Mary Shuri Christmas. So we'll be doing basically looking back on the fantastic career thus far of one Shuri. So it'll be 4 alternate commentaries from Shuri. We'll be doing what if Shuri defeated Mayu Iwatani back at the beginning of this year to win the IWGP Women's Championship. Our roundtable discussion will be top 5 favorite Shuri matches. And the bonus free retrospective will be a look back at the very underrated rivalry between Shuri and Mayu Iwatani. And I will be once again joined by Andy Hatter at that. So much great stuff passed. So much great stuff coming up in the month of November. And then what says Christmas and Merry Christmas better than Shuri dressed up as like Santa Claus and beating you up, Rob Goodwin? I mean, how much more can we give?
Absolutely. I feel like that's a Christmas card waiting to happen. Stardom, we are literally giving you things. We're giving you money here. Yeah, just to quickly piggyback on what Matt says, we are available on Threads, which we'll be using a little bit more than we were before. Again, for reasons we're not going to go into. Later on this week as well, we've also got our retro watch along. That is due to drop on Sunday, where myself and Matt are looking back at a historic match from New Japan, where we watch Antonio Inoki versus Andre the Giant from 1986, the sole match in which Andre the Giant submits. And of course, there was lots of parallels between that and the finish to Sadi and Bozilla from Korakuen Hall. And we thought, what better time to watch it for the first time, in my case, than right now on the podcast. So that is for our white belt tiers. And above, the video of me and Matt just generally chilling and watching Andre the Giant just lock Antonio Inoki in a sleeper hold for 8.5 minutes.
It wasn't that bad. It was like 7.5 minutes.
I was just going to say, the match itself is 9 minutes, but yeah, it's a fun match. It's an iconic match, and that pop at the end is absolutely astronomical. It really is. If you haven't already, guys, patreon.com/StardomCast. Thank you to all of our patrons over there. Your support physically means absolutely everything to us. We cannot do this without you. Let's talk then a little bit about just a couple of nuggets of news. And I was just saying to Matt, obviously we're recording this on Wednesday, the 6th of November, which is when we usually record the Stardom Cast. I know that Marigold have a press conference planned for tomorrow to go through the Korakuen Hall card. Just before we delve into some news, I was saying to you, Matt, earlier, obviously there was a little bit of a scare in Hokkaido when Sari hit the Uranagi on Nanae Takahashi. And I'm sure people have, if they haven't already watched the match, it was gifted quite a lot all over Twitter. A really, really scary bump really, really high on her neck. And she was obviously pulled then from, I believe, the evening card. I can't remember if it happened on the evening show and she was pulled from Nagoya, or if it happened on the afternoon show and she was pulled from the evening show. But yeah, a really, really scary bump. Everything crossed that Nanae is, first of all, okay, just okay in herself. But obviously, we hope that we are still going to be getting Sari versus Nanae Takahashi at Korakuen Hall, because, again, they showed in their Dreamstar match just how good they can be together. But, aside from that, the most important thing is Nanae's health, and fingers crossed she is okay, because it was a scary, scary bump. Before we go into the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League, we've got two things I want to talk about. And the first one, Matt, is a little bit of a birthday present, not for me and not for you, unfortunately, although I suppose we do benefit from this. And that is that Hanan and Rina are going to appear on Azusa Inaba's birthday Just Tap Out show, the main event of which is on the 29th of November, a special attraction tag team match with Devil Princess, the New Blood tag team champions Rina and Azusa Inaba, taking on Tomoka Inaba and Hanan, which, I mean, just that in itself is going to be tremendous. It's from Post the Amistad in Kawasaki, and obviously it's in celebration of Azusa Inaba's 17th birthday. It's the first time Rina or Hanan have worked in JTO. And in fact, it's Hanan's first ever show outside of Stardom, which I found absolutely incredible. But yes, Matt, that match is going to be very, very good. Unfortunately, I don't have any details on how we can watch it yet, but I imagine streaming details, or at least something like that. I imagine at some point it will come up on Stardom World.
As always, Mr. Rob Goodwin, I always get my Stardom news and the best news from you live on the show. I knew that match was happening. I didn't know that Hanan has never wrestled outside of Stardom before. That's a really, really cool, interesting tidbit. And yeah, I mean, that's excellent stuff for her. And again, more great stuff from Stardom, letting these wrestlers go out to different wrestling companies to wrestle, thus bringing more eyes onto the product, because we have seen a really, an uptick in attendance numbers. I haven't seen many empty seats at these Stardom shows the last 3 or 4 months, and this clearly has helped them out, whether it's in the Sendai Girls shows, whether it's wrestling on Pro Wrestling Eve over your neck of the woods over in England, whether it's going to be this Friday with Hazuki and Kagama in that four-way to declare the number one contenders for Mercedes Moné IWGP Championship. So, yeah, again, kudos to Stardom letting the wrestlers wrestle outside of the company, because it really seems like it's benefiting them, as far as ticket sales go. As far as my guess on the streaming, again, this is purely speculation. If you remember that phenomenal World of Stardom Championship match with Maika and Tomoka Inaba that took place on the JTO, and I think it was the Taka Mijinoko anniversary show, that popped up on Stardom World, I think, within less than a week. So fingers crossed, Mr. Goodwin, that tag match pops up open on Stardom World sooner than later. And then if it does pop open on Stardom World or a YouTube page, that's a match that we will definitely watch and then review it for the fine folks over here at the Stardom Cast.
I suppose we'll probably have a look at it. I believe it was the Just Tap Out 5th anniversary show, I think, but
That's
I could be wrong.
I know it was some sort of anniversary. I know it wasn't my wedding anniversary, but I would have taken that as a gift.
Absolutely. Sticking with Stardom wrestlers in other promotions, Saya Kamatani has gained her first piece of silverware since joining Hate. Obviously, she won the Pro Wrestling Wave Catch the Wave tournament, their annual round-robin tournament, where she beats Kohaku in the final, was gifted a shot at the Regina the Wave Championship at 2024 Prime Wave, which took place at the 4th of November Korakuen Hall show for Pro Wrestling Wave. And she won. She won the championship, a near 23-minute match. Saya did enlist the help of Momo Watanabe, because of course she did. But she does become the 22nd Regina the Wave champion, joining a storied lineage that also includes Hikaru Shida, Rina Yamashita, Takumi Iroha, and Suzu Suzuki, obviously defeating Yuki Miyazaki in the final. And something else that we said, Matt, was and again, this is obviously Alex on the Stardom Quest, really good for an attendance tidbit. 700 in attendance for this Korakuen Hall show, where ordinarily Wave are drawing around the 400 mark. Now, a lot of that is obviously being attributed to Saya Kamatani, and rightly so, but on the opening match of the card, dump Matsumoto. Proven draw, dump Matsumoto, who even at 60 is still raking in those ticket sales, which all power to him.
Yeah, again, credit to our friends over there at the Stardom Quest for helping us out with that little bit of a tidbit. But I mean, you're looking at an increase of over 40% in Korakuen Hall with Saya Kamatani. The big news coming out of that is Saya Kamatani, a Stardom wrestler, basically walks out as your big champion and won the big tournament. Won the big, and a really great tournament that, again, I'm really glad all of her matches, as well as Ron Yugami's, really went up on Stardom World pretty quick this past summer. So yeah, it's interesting to see that, once again, Stardom wrestlers outside of the company, not only that, but winning matches as well. I know Saya Kamatani did cut a promo saying she was a little upset that, and of course I'm paraphrasing here, she was upset that nobody came off to challenge her afterwards. So it really seems like she's throwing down the gauntlet. And I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world to see a Wave Championship match somewhere in Stardom between now and the end of the year. Now, Rob, you did make mention, and we've made mention this the past few shows, the drawing power of one Dump Matsumoto. Do you think, and I think I might have thrown this out after the Korakuen Hall show where they drew about 1,300 people to the last Stardom Korakuen Hall show, do you think that they put her on the Sumo Hall show? Dump Matsumoto. And obviously a multi-person tag match. Yeah, I agree. And I think what they should do is, whatever members of Hate aren't in matches, you put them surrounded Dump Matsumoto. And then the great thing with Hate, the faction, folks, not the feeling. The great thing with the Hate faction is they're feuding with everybody in Stardom. So they can look, as they're putting together the card, and say, okay, who's not in a high profile match that we can put in? Okay, we can take Miyu Amasaki from Neo Genesis. Okay, we can, and I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing here. Okay, we can take Saya Ida from Stars. Okay, we can take Aya Sakura from Cosmic Angels. Okay, we can take Lady C from God's Eye, and you can put them all in one little match across the ring from the members of Hate with Dump Matsumoto, because again, they're all feuding with Hate. Hate is the big number one, and they're only really pure 100% heel faction in Stardom. So that's something that they can do. You put Dump Matsumoto there. Rob, I don't want to tell Stardom what to do. Maybe you put Aja Kong on the opposite side. Have a Dump Matsumoto, Aja Kong we see Aja Kong working with Stardom before, back at All-Star Grand Queendom. Why not do that? You're trying to put over 3,000 people in Sumo Hall for what is basically the start of Wrestle Kingdom weekend. That's an attraction match. Then you put that on top of maybe a Tam versus Saya for the red belt, maybe Natsupoi versus Starlight Kid for the white belt, maybe Azumi versus Mayu for the IWGP, because I don't know, but that's my guess with your three big matches, and then you put an attraction match like that. I think that's just print money, brother, but that's just me.
It's an interesting one, because I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about this during the tag league. Everybody who is in Tam Nakano's block in the 5-star technically has a claim to a match with her for the red belt. She went 0-6. Everybody has the right. So that's Tomoka Inaba, that's Meisera, Azumi, and Mayu Iwatani. Now, Mayu Iwatani is the big story for Tam. Never beaten her in singles action. Do we have Mayu Iwatani versus Tam Nakano at Sumo Hall? Now, obviously, the first thing you're going to say is, but she's the IWGP Women's Champion, and we've been building to her and Azumi. Maybe Momo dethrones Mayu at Historic Crossover, and they do Momo and Azumi at Sumo Hall. And that would leave us then with Mayu and Tam, Natsupoi and Hazuki, and then Momo and Azumi. What would you think about that? Obviously, I know nothing, and that's just sort of, something I was thinking about earlier today. But even though I'm sure we do want Saya on top, and eventually Saya is going to win the red belt, she is, whether it's as a heel or whether it's as a babyface. What would you say if that were the card?
I like your card, and I want to see it, Rob. Again, the great thing with Stardom is the roster is so stacked, especially up top, and they have a lot of really great stories that you can go left on one thing, right on another, and it's still going to be terrific. And your thing does make sense because if Momo does defeat Mayu for the IWGP, Azumi did defeat Momo on night one of the five-star Grand Prix. So you have that claim there. Plus, again, when Momo left, geez, we're coming up on 3 years now. When Momo left Queen's Quest to go to Oedo Tai Now Hate, it was Azumi, her tag partner, that was the one she really turned on. So you have that ongoing story between the two of them. I think that's really interesting. But you did say Hazuki and Natsupoi. Do you think that's going to be the white belt match, or you think we're saving that? Because I really think that Starlight Kid and Natsupoi is the match for Sumo Hall. But you think it's going to be Hazuki?
I'm thinking with my heart, man. I am thinking with my heart. I just want to see Hazuki belted up. I mean, to be fair, a lot of it could depend on whether Hazuki becomes a number one contender for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. Because if that's the case, there is a very real possibility they might do Mercedes Moné versus Hazuki on the Sumo Hall show.
You got to think too, they're going to have to do a big match on Wrestle Dynasty. So here's another scenario I'm going to throw out at you. And I know it's only a week, 1 week build. Say Azumi defeats Mayu at Sumo Hall, wins the IWGP Women's. Say Tam retains again, I'm throwing it out there, against Saya Kamitani for the red belt. And then Mayu comes out and says, hey, we have this match and we have the Tokyo Dome. Let's do Mayu versus Tam at the Tokyo Dome. Even though it's only a 1 week build and we've already seen New Japan, they have their two big matches for Wrestle Dynasty and Wrestle Kingdom already on tap. That's another way that they can go. Again, everything being so strong at top, there's a lot of different ways that they can go about it. And I'm all here for the ride, brother. I'm all here for the ride. But yeah, Hazuki versus Mercedes Moné match. I would love, as long as we get that. I don't care where it is, because I'm not greedy, but sometimes I do get a little greedy. If we do get that match, if Hazuki does win that 4-way this weekend, I hope it happens in Japan. I really, really do, because we have big cards we need to fill, whether that's the Tokyo Dome, whether that's the show on January 3rd, or whether that is Sumo Hall. I think you can go right with it either way. So the main thing on that is Hazuki just needs to win this Friday.
Yeah, obviously, I don't think we'll have any Stardom participation on the Wrestle Kingdom card, which, is fair enough. They're going to be on the January 5th card. They did do a press conference today, New Japan, did a press conference to announce some of the first matches for both January 4th and January 5th. The only one announced for January 5th was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet. January 4th is going to be Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino, which I know was divisive, but I don't watch anywhere near enough New Japan for me to understand why, so I'm not going to try. But yeah, so I am expecting either during Historic Crossover or just after that, we are going to get some more information in regards to Wrestle Dynasty, because I don't think New Japan have got any more big shows. I think Power Struggle is the last big show of their calendar before Tag League. So I imagine we're going to get some announcements rather soon. And obviously we are, as we record, just over a week away from Historic Crossover 2, and we've still only got 4 matches. So I am expecting that to drop literally the moment we stop recording. So look out for that. Speaking of that 4-way, by the way, Hazuki versus Koguma versus Anna Jay versus Trish Adora from Fighting Spirit Unleashed. That is on Friday, the 9th of November, and it has been confirmed that is going to be, it's not going to be a pay-per-view. It is just going to be those basically on New Japan World for subscribers, as is Wrestle Kingdom, as is Wrestle Dynasty as well. So no additional money needed to fork out for those 3 shows, which it was looking like a bit of a spenny month. I'm not going to lie, Matt, if we had to fork out additional money for obviously the Stardom show on the 3rd, the Marigold show on the 3rd, Wrestle Kingdom and potentially Wrestle Dynasty as well, and obviously Dream Queendom. It was going to be a spenny week, but thankfully, cooler heads have prevailed and we get them included in our subscription, which means that all of you can go and watch FWC tear up Boston for free.
Yeah, again, considering the fact that we do have the holiday season is upon us, so the overspending has probably already started in my house that I don't know about. But no, yeah, I mean that again, it's one less expense, and that's just a really kudos thing to New Japan for the majority of these U.S. shows are basically a $15 or $20 thing that you have to purchase, like an extra pay-per-view. But yeah, I did see that they announced that yesterday. Which no, as long as you have your New Japan World subscription, you can watch it as you please. So, and that's what I'll be doing on Friday night, my friend. And you know me, I usually don't cheer for any wrestlers. I usually just want to see a really good match and a really good story. But I am going to be 100% completely biased, and I'm going to be pulling for the Wild Heart, the People's Champion, the Wrestling Machine, for Hazuki to pull out the win this Friday.
It's what we all want. We just want to see Hazuki in that spotlight because she really, really does deserve it. And we might as well delve straight into Tag League, talking about Hazuki in the spotlight. Let's start talking about these shows then, as we start with night 3 of the Goddesses of Stardom Tag League 2024 from the 31st of October, Halloween, spooky season. And we are running from Symbol Tower in Takamatsu, 384 people in attendance, which is their biggest house ever at the venue. They've only run it 4 times, but this beats a record of 12 years because the previous highest that they'd drawn at the venue was 320 back in 2012. It's also an increase of over 21% from the last time they ran the venue, which was a part of the year-end tour in 2023 on the 6th of December. So a good number for Stardom in Symbol Tower. And the results for the show are as follows. In a tag team match, Suzu Suzuki and Shiori defeated the EXV team of Mina Shirakawa and Rian, with Shiori submitting Rian with a Scorpion Deathlock in 12 minutes and 37 seconds. In another tag team match, Azumi and Saya Ida defeated the God's Eye team of Lady C and Rani Yagami. Saya Ida flattening Rani Yagami with a lariat in 11 minutes and 47 seconds. 6-woman tag team action, the Hate team of Saya Kamatani, Natsuko Tora, and Ruaka defeated the Neo Genesis side of Starlight Kid, Meisera, and Miyu Amasaki. Saya Kamatani pinning Miyu Amasaki with the Star Crusher in 10 minutes and 17 seconds. We've then got Red Goddess action from the Tag League. Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki and Koguma moved to 4 points, defeating Tokameki Pure in Ala mode. I'd still struggle to say that name. And I've found as well that if you acronize it and just sort of shorten it, it's now T-Palm, T-P-A-L-M. So I'm going to be calling them T-Palm from now on. So they defeated T-Palm, Tam Nakano, and Sayaka Kurora, who remain on 0 points. Koguma pinning Sayaka Kurora with the diving body splash. Semi-main event, more Red Goddess action. Cup High Mate, Maika and Hanako moved to 4 points, defeating Peach Rock, Mayu Utani, and Momokogo, who remain on 2. Maika pinning Momokogo with the Enka Toshi in 11 minutes and 33 seconds. And then in your main event, Blue Goddess action, SaoriPoi, Saoriano, and Natsupoi moved to 4 points, defeating Sakura Damon, Yuna Mizumori, and Aya Sakura, who remain on 0. Poi pinning Aya Sakura with the Ferial Gift in 17 minutes and 9 seconds. Matt, before we delve into the card itself, one of the biggest questions is who had the scarier costume? Mina Shirakawa, who came dressed as It from the film It, Starlight Kid, who had literal eyeballs sewn onto her mask, or Maika, who cosplayed as someone who really likes Sapporo beer.
I thought that's Micah's regular gimmick, right? Somebody that just likes beer.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Again, when we had our meet and greet with her back at WrestleMania week, and we brought her a Stardom cast beer, and she smiled and then said in perfect English, "Oh, you guys know me all too well, don't you?" So, which always
we do, Micah. Yes,
I would say that it would be Starlight Kid because she had like eyeballs popping out of that mask, and I was generally concerned if she was going to be wrestling with eyeballs falling out of her mask, very much like we may or may not see Tam and Mina when their hair may or may not fall out in certain matches. But my vote would be Starlight Kid. How about you, partner?
Yeah, it was a pretty phenomenal mask, that was. I mean, Starlight Kid has got a pretty decent catalogue of masks, but that mask it certainly ranks up there. And I did like the fact that everyone got a little bit into the spirit. Perhaps no one more than Mina Shirakawa, who I've never seen Shiori scared ever, but she did not want to lock up with Mina initially. And I really did enjoy the disparity between overly confident Mina Shirakawa. She's got the makeup, the hat, the cape. She's dancing. She's in people's faces. And then you have got poor, meek Rian, who is just sort of following behind with a hat on, just sort of smiling and nervously bowing to people. I thought that disparity between this team was really, really funny. But yeah, apart from that, it was a decent enough opener match.
I liked how, and you made mention how, again, Mina is dressed up as It from It, Pennywise the Clown. And like Sherry, who's, again, the biggest ass kicker in this company, is like, I don't know if I want to toy with that. However, Suzu Suzuki was having none of it. She's like, I don't care who you are, what you want to be. I'm here to kick ass. And I thought this was, first of all, just think of this team of just Suzu and Sherry. Like, just what violence. Like, what a violent team this is. I mean, those two, again, you go back and watch the opening match of last year's 5-star Grand Prix. These two really just tore into each other. And now we're teaming them up to go against Mina Shirakawa and the rookie that is Rian. I thought that was really cool. And again, this is really cool how on these, as we call them, Stardom World shows, that Tara Okada is taking some of the booking on the underneath matches. I'm like, yeah, let's just team these people up just for something different, just to see what they can do, because you never know what's going to stick, or you never know what's going to make sense in an angle 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road. Regardless, I thought Sherry and Suzu were terrific here. Mina was great. Rian, again, she's somebody that is learning so much so quickly, because look who she's in the ring with. Suzu. Sherry, she's teaming with Mina on a regular basis. She's teaming with Micah on a regular basis, and very much like Rana Yagami, where she was 6-7 months ago. You can see the improvement because she's putting the time in, again, not only in these matches, but I'm assuming at the Stardom Dojo as well. She's learning from the best of the best. Ultimately, though, I thought this was a really terrific match. We knew where this was going to go. You knew ultimately it was just going to be Sherry putting the boots to poor Rian and able to get the submission win with the sharpshooter, or the Scorpion Deathlock, whatever you want to call it. I had it at 3.5 stars, and I also find it really comical at the end that Sherry and Suzu Suzuki stole Mina's 2 British Championship belts and then cut a promo with them. So I don't know if this is leading to a singles match somewhere in your neck of the woods, partner, with Sherry versus Mina, or a Suzu versus Mina, or a 3-way, or they just did it for fun to pop themselves. But again, ultimately, I thought this was a really great opener, 3.5 stars. And I'm wondering if they're going to do something with the comedic duo. I never thought I'd say this. The comedic duo that is the thieves of Suzu Suzuki and Sherry.
Well, Shiori was only interested really in doling out tricks, wasn't she? In the form of poor kicks to the spine of Rian, who did spend a lot of this match being bullied by Shiori. Where Mina got those maracas at the end of the match, I've got no idea, but she left banging herself on the head with them, looking thoroughly insane, which she does really like a little bit too well. But yeah, I thought this was a fun little opener, and it sort of set the tone a little bit for the non-tournament matches. And speaking of non-tournament matches, we then moved on to Azumi and Sairida versus Rani Yagami and Lady C. And I feel like, for me at least, I was waiting for that proverbial war of the titans between Sairida and Lady C in that chop battle, and they didn't disappoint, Matt.
No, not at all. And you did notice, even from the entrance alone, that Saida and Azumi, they just seemed a little bit off, because obviously they're in separate factions, with Saida being part of Stars and obviously Azumi being part of the hot new faction that is Neo Genesis. So you can see Rani Yagami and Lady C were able to work well better as a team. We eventually, as with the match builds on, which the match does build around the inevitable chop battle between Lady C and Saida, which was really, really good, really, really violent, and really, really well timed. Eventually, Azumi just maybe goes a little bit too full Azumi mode, for lack of a better term, and goes a little bit too fast and accidentally hits Saida. The two of them have a little bit of a throwdown, but then Izumi is able to talk a little bit of sense into Saida, and Saida is able to channel that energy, that aggression she has to hit an absolutely insane lariat to Ron Yagami for the win. This was another fantastic match. Really great stuff between these four wrestlers, these four hard-hitting wrestlers. I love the exchanges. As much as the Saida and Lady C exchanges were good, I love the exchanges between Saida and Ron Yagami, and it makes me want to see a singles match somewhere down the road with the two of them going something like 13, 14 minutes. Excellent stuff. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend.
Yeah, there's something of a theme that's going to be developing over the course of this podcast, in that we have quite a lot of people, Lady C, Aya Sakura, Rani Yagami, and Sayaka Kurora, who are ultimately coming out on the losing side, getting 0 points, yet are the most entertaining and the most endearing part of their matches. And that's a real credit to them for the rapid improvement, especially in the case of Sayaka Kurora and Aya Sakura. And with Sayaka Kurora as well, it's a change in aura, it's a change in confidence, and I don't know if that's because she's paired up with Tam or if that's just a natural progression for her. But those four in particular are ones that have really, really caught my eye. And I feel like with Lady C as well, I think I said this in the last podcast, maybe not in the same way as Hannon in the 5-star Grand Prix a couple of years ago, but I can really see this tag league being a breakout sort of tournament for a Lady C, who I feel like has reached the ceiling of where she is at the moment and does need to sort of start pushing for bigger and better things. And she's proved, she can hang with the best. So I'm excited to see what's next for Lady C. Moving on then to the 6-woman Halloween tag, Hate versus Neo Genesis. And again, we've already mentioned it, but that mask was sensational, especially when paired with just a tiny bit of trick-or-treat makeup on Miyu Amasaki and on Mei Seira. But other than that, Neo Genesis were bullied in this match, weren't they?
Yeah, this was a really simple story to tell. Again, you kind of have your high speed, high impact style offense of your baby faces in Neo Genesis. And then you have Hate, who are your big heels in this match. Neo Genesis, they try to get off this match on the right foot, so to speak, by able to apply their high speed style offense. Again, you have your current high speed champion on this in this team with Neo Genesis with Miyu Amasaki. You have one of the best and a former and one of the best high speed champions ever in Starlight Kid, and Miyu Amasaki. She's no slouch to herself when it comes to that high speed style of offense. So they try to get that going early. Hate stops it, and we get, as we always say, Oedo Tai's got Oedo Tai, Hate's got a Hate. We get the big brawl, we get the chair bowling, and then they put heat on Miyu Amasaki. Makes sense, because you always want to make your hot tag to your more explosive wrestler. Well, Starlight Kid and Mei Seira are two of the most explosive wrestlers in this entire company. So eventually, when the hot tag does go to the two of them, we see some great teamwork with Mei Seira and Starlight Kid, or, being able to hit the double drop kicks on the Natsuko Tora and Ruaka. Just some excellent stuff, the dives, just how Mei Seira is able to control her body on how fast she goes, still absolutely completely blows me away. Eventually, we go back to Sai Kamatani and Miyu Amasaki, where really the heat started in this match. You get Sai Kamatani coming in with a big pump kick for a 2 count, and then Sai Kamatani tries to put Miyu Amasaki away with the Star Crusher, but Miyu is able to roll through in a really good roll-up for like a 2.999 count that a lot of people bid on. And again, a lot of times we do see, and we saw it with Sayaka Kurora in Cork and Hall, able to roll through a Star Crusher to get a 3 count. It puts doubts in people's head and makes you actually believe the underdog babyface can get a shock win here, which again just adds more value to this match. Ultimately, though, it is the Star Crusher that puts Miyu Amasaki away at the 10-minute and 17-minute mark. 3 3/4 stars for me, my friend. I thought this was an excellent match and a simple story to tell.
Absolutely. And Miyu Amasaki also goes into that group that I was mentioning earlier, sort of someone who the endeavor and the effort and the work rate that she is putting into the matches is truly phenomenal, especially when you're in a team with someone like Azumi, who is so damn fast. And, even when she's not teaming with Azumi, she's teaming with Mei Seira, who might legitimately be quicker. So it's not easy to keep up with that style of wrestling, and she does it very, very well. Moving on then to hate. No, that's not hate. It's you hating FWC and T-Palm. Now, Matt, I thought the levels of disparity between Mina Shirakawa and Rian's entrance was big, but that's nothing to the levels of disparity between FWC and T-Palm. So FWC come out there throwing sweets into the crowd. You've got Hazuki putting her hair clips onto a child who clearly does not want those hair clips, but it's adorable. It's lovely. They're an FWC of the people, if you will. And then T-Palm come out, and it's like a scene out of Pride and Prejudice. You've got both women coming out in veils, which are up initially, and then each of them kneel down in front of the other and have the veil put on in front of their face. That is until it fell off Sayaka Kurora's head and we had an awkward moment where it had to be put back on, but we'll ignore that. And then they go back into the ring, holding hands. It's the weirdest entrance I've ever seen. And Kirsty never usually walks in while I'm watching wrestling.
I know this is going to go.
Yeah. So I was, she didn't come in during, Fukuoka Double Crazy, for the people. No. She comes in during the weird marriage ceremony between Sayaka Kurora and Tam Nakano. And do you know what's worse, Matt? She didn't say a word. She just left. And that's so much worse, isn't it? I didn't even know how to explain it when I saw her next time. I was like, she was like, are they married? No. Are they in a relationship? No. Then why? I don't know, Kirsty. I don't know. It's a thing. It's a vibe. We just go with it. It's Tam is basically the excuse I gave. But aside from that, aside from the utterly bonkers entrance that we had between the two, heat with FWC, Matt. I'm intrigued.
Real quick, brother, what was the time on this match?
This match, let me just go back up in my notes. It was 16 minutes and 14 seconds. Second longest match on the card.
All right, folks. So, again, about 45 minutes ago, I mentioned that I got heat with FWC. Now, folks, if you have watched Northeastern Independent Wrestling over the last 6 or 7 years, and you saw this match, you say, Matt, that finish looked awfully familiar. Hazuki with the superplex. Kagama with the body splash. Where have I seen that before?
I know where this is going.
Well, folks, that's a move done in the Northeastern Pennsylvania independent scene. The name of that move, Rob Goodwin and our fine listeners, is called Maximum Carnage. Now, Rob Goodwin, for, as you call it, a Brucey bonus point, would you like to guess what tag team over in Northeastern Pennsylvania has perfected the Maximum Carnage move?
Is it We Love Tokyo Sports?
It is exactly We Love Tokyo Sports. No, myself and one Andy Header that I was like, we've been doing that move for 6 or 7 years. The superplex into the body splash. So I talked to Andy Header, and this is what we're going to do. I'm using this platform right here, right now, to make a formal challenge to FWC. Team Blue and Gold versus FWC. Now, Rob, I'm going to say any place, anytime, right? However, where I'd like for this match to happen will be at next year's Colossal Con. And the reason why I say at next year's Colossal Con, because if you remember when me and Andy Header just wrestled at Colossal Con about a month ago, we made mention for next year's Colossal Con, we would like to go as Tam Nakano and Natsupoi Meltier. Now, Rob Goodwin, for your second Brucey bonus point. You remember who ended FWC's second reign of the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championship? And hint, that happened at Stardom X Stardom 2022.
I believe, Matt, that it was Meltier.
So, you're absolutely right, sir. So what I'm trying to say is FWC wants to get their win back on Meltier. They could do it in the beautiful Poconos at Colossal Con 2025. I am absolutely I would absolutely love to wrestle FWC, don't get me wrong. But I'm totally joking because myself and Andy Header, we actually ripped that move off, a Power and Glory, the Powerplex. So, and everybody takes everybody's stuff. So I absolutely do not have any heat with FWC. But that challenge is out there if they want to wrestle fake Tam and fake Natsupoi as Matt Turner and Andy Header at next year's Colossal Con. Regardless, Rob Goodwin, this match was great. This was was terrific. Yeah. Again, Sakura is doing a great job with her and Tam as a team. Again, we made mention when they mentioned these teams, we thought it should have been Mel tier, but we got SaoriPoi, and boy howdy, we're going to talk about them a lot. And Sakura is really growing into this role as she's teaming with the World of Stardom champion Tam Nakano. Obviously, it's FWC, it's Suzuki, it's Kagama. Again, FWC, in my opinion, is the best tag team in all of wrestling. The Tam and Hazuki stuff was terrific, and we never really got a big singles match between the two of them. And boy, again, we all want Hazuki to win that Wonder of Stardom championship, that white belt, because that's the big story. I wouldn't be heartbroken if somewhere along the way we get a big Tam versus Hazuki World of Stardom championship match, because I think those two would absolutely tear it up. Again, I absolutely love this match, what they're doing with Tam and Sakura, not only as a team, but Rob made mention with the entrance, which is very entertaining. Let's just say it's something that we'll never forget. In a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, we'll never forget the entrance. Literally to the point where myself and Rob were texting each other last week, and we were saying that if we are able to acquire a bar in Las Vegas for the live Stardom Cast podcast, there might be a possibility that's how we make our entrance. But again, another story for another day. 4.25 stars for me. I absolutely love this match, brother.
The idea of FWC sitting and going, do you know what? We need to up our offense. We need to add to our arsenal. I know where we'll go. The North Pennsylvanian Indies, and going, that team blue and gold. I love that. Let's steal that. As soon as they hit it, I was like, I'm sure that's Matt's finish. I'm sure he's mentioned that on the podcast before. And the idea that in Vegas, we could potentially see the first match confirmed for Stardom's Vegas show, FWC versus Team Blue and Gold. It's the match we all want.
Let's do it. You know how to get a hold of us, Stardom. You know how to get a hold. It's actually kind of funny because me and Andy have been teaming up since 2017. So well before I started watching Stardom, we've always done that FWC double dive. Again, before either of us started watching Stardom, where Hazuki does the suicide dive and Koguma does the dive off the middle buckle. I used to do it off the top rope, and two years ago I got hurt. So now I do it off the second buckle like her. So it's like, oh, that's pretty cool because we've always done that dive and FWC does it. And it looks like a thing of beauty. And now the fact, and I throw forearms, Suzuki throw forearms. Kaguma's funny and has good hair. Andy Hatter's funny and has good hair. Now they're taking away, now they're taking away Maximum Carnage for us. But I kid, kind of.
I mean, to be fair, if we were to do this match in Vegas, I mean, you would come out as Tam Nakano. Andy Hedder has Natsupoi written all over him. I would have to come out as your manager and dress as Yuna Mizumori, which I think it would really top it off. And I think it will be I think I can almost see the headline in the Wrestling Observer newsletter right now, as he gives us 5.5 stars. Would have been 6, but it isn't in the Tokyo Dome. I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and Hazuki was the most over person, potentially on the entire show. The crowd were really, really, really into FWC, but what I really liked was that despite that, the match was built around Sayaka Kurora, and actually it was built around Sayaka Kurora being beaten mercilessly by Hazuki, who I don't know whether Sayaka Kurora owes her money, or whether she, again, has run over her dog, the reincarnated dog that Natsupoi ran over a few 5 stars ago. But she'd taken a proper, I'm going to hurt you. And then, condescendingly, started a Kurora chant. I was like, Hazuki. Heel Hazuki. It's the best Hazuki. But yeah, thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this. Plus, can we just talk about that spear? Because that spear is getting better and better every single time she hits it. Big, big fan of that. Let's move on then to the semi-main event from this show, which was Peach Rock versus Cup High Mate. And Matt, Momo seems to be in a headspace at the moment where she feels like she needs to prove herself. We talked about it a little bit on the podcast before, where she feels like she is the weak link in Stars and she needs to prove herself to be strong enough to team with Mayu Iwatani. So she offers to open up the match, and that is a massive mistake because she then spends a good 5 minutes of the opening being buffeted around the ring by Hanako. And I did feel a little bit sorry for her. But again, another really, really good match. Flashes of Mayu Iwatani and Maika, which we also get in Fukuoka the day after. I'm never, ever going to be sick of that. And a fantastic sprint to the finish as well. But Maika, Hanako, too strong for Momokogo.
Yeah, again, I call Momokogo's, she's basically taking charge. Like, no, Mayu, let me, the leader of this faction, let me show you my worth, not only in this faction, but this team. Mayu's like, okay, go ahead. And she gets up a little bit on Hanako. Eventually, Hanako gets the better of it. They cut the ring off, getting the bigger, stronger team. Easy psychology. They cut the ring off on Momokogo. Then Maika just dominates Momokogo. But eventually, Momokogo finds her way to Mayu. Mayu comes in a house of fire. Again, she's the more explosive wrestler. So that's where you want your hot tag to go. She does a great job with that. And we've seen it quite a bit. I mean, she does the double knuckle lock Arabian press arm drag. She does it quite a bit, but we've seen her doing a lot more because of the tag lead. She does that. We do see the double basement drop kick from Peach Rock. We see the 619, the Tiger Fang kick from Momokogo, and I love how Mayu sets up Momokogo for success from that. The double super kick to Maika as well. Mayu hits the dive onto Hanako to make it look like, hey, I'm going to take Hanako out. You focus on Maika because the double super kick really, really took Maika down. But ultimately, though, and then eventually they use the double super kick, and then Momo hits the 619 DDT to Maika, and the crowd really pops, not only for that move, but for the cover. A lot of people think we're going to see an upset here because Momo's getting the better of Maika because of what Mayu's able to set Momokogo up for. But ultimately, though, Maika's able to hit the ankle Toshi that she tried for a few times in this match, which they do a good job building up that move. They do a good job of Momo able to slip out. She slips out a second time. Eventually, though, Maika's able to wear down Momokogo enough with the lariats and hits the ankle Toshi for the 3 count. I had this at 4 stars, but again, because of how hot the crowd was and the fact they were really biting on Momokogo's comeback and that big 619 tornado DDT for a falsie, I had to bump it up to 4.25 stars. Again, in this match, you have 2 former World of Stardom champions in Maika and Mayu Iwatani. In my opinion, the 2 best wrestlers in the world this year, other than Will Ospreay. And then you have Hanako, who's somebody they clearly have plans for and doing a great job building her up. But Momokogo was the one that got over in this match the most. They're the ones that she was the one that the crowd was most invested in, and a really good job on these 2 teams making sure the focus was on Momokogo ultimately for this year's winner, the 5-star Grand Prix in Maika, to put her away. Great match, great psychology, didn't go a second too long. I thought this was terrific. Again, 4.25 stars for me.
Well, you mentioned them, Matt. Let's talk about them. SaoriPoi, what a tournament they're having. And what I like, I'm going to be singing the praises of Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori very, very shortly. But what I like about SaoriPoi at the moment is that when they are facing teams with someone with a quote-unquote weak link in them, they are rather complacent. They are rather mocking, aren't they? They gang up on the weak link. We see it here with Aya Sakura sort of pulling her hair behind the referee's back, taunting her, mocking her. And we see it with Hina when they take on Team Classroom on the next show. And it's almost like SaoriPoi know how good they are as a team, and they were coasting up until they faced Devil Princess, where they very, very nearly lose. I quite like that sort of conceited side of them that we see here. I mean, aside from that, obviously, it's an absolutely blistering match. Like the opening where you've got Yuna Mizumori and Natsupoi doing the high-speed stuff. Tremendous. Yuna Mizumori. Natsupoi has got Yuna Mizumori in a sleeper hold. And I believe that Saori Anou has Aya Sakura in the Muta lock. So Yuna Mizumori just walks over and just slams Natsupoi like a sack of potatoes onto the submission to break it up, and it's great. You've got Yuna Mizumori breaking up a triangle choke with that one-arm powerbomb. She's fantastic in this match, but it's, again, that endeavor of Aya Sakura that is so, so easy to get behind. And my story arc with SaoriPoi does continue on over these next couple of shows, again with that match against Team Classroom, where they do the same with Hina. And then when we get on to their match with Devil Princess, where their complacency very nearly costs them the match. So what were your opinions of this match? Because again, SaoriPoi have been great.
The one great thing with this tournament is we knew going in who, as far as match quality goes, who is going to be our top favorites: the FWCs, the SaoriPois, the Peach Rock. We know Wing Gore. We knew we were going to get great matches out of them, and boy howdy, we absolutely have. But Yuna and Aya is a team that I've been pleasantly surprised with. Again, I kind of wanted maybe the two rookies and Aya and Sayaka to team up because what we've been able to see them do on the New Blood shows, and then Soriano and Yuna Mizumori. So we get SaoriPoi, and again, they're absolutely crushing it. But Yuna and Aya are absolutely just over delivering each and every match, to the point where when we do our end of the tournament awards, they're probably going to be the breakout tag team for me. And they were terrific here. And you made mention Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori going high speed to start with the near falls back and forth. I really enjoy that. And the one new thing we've seen with SaoriPoi in this tournament that they always done that spot where Soriano's in the corner. Opponent will run at Soriano. Soriano will jump over opponent, and then Soriano will do the Insaguri at the same time Natsupoi does the super kick. They did that a lot when they teamed last year, where they're doing it here, but they're missing it in the beginning. And they miss it, and they wind up hitting each other in the foot, and then they wind up selling, and then whoever they're wrestling, we've seen it in every match they've had in this tournament thus far, they get the advantage, and then they go back to that spot because it's a really cool spot. So I like how now, because they didn't do this last year, but they're doing it this year in this tournament, they're building up that really cool tag spot, and it's allowing their opponents to get an advantage as you're building towards the finish, and eventually they hit it, and that leads to either Soriano hitting a German suplex or the Tom's Tundra, or the Natsupoi. Yes, there it is. Or the Ferial Gift. So I like how we're adding more stuff to this phenomenal team that is Soriano and Natsupoi. Yuna and Aya gel so well as a tag team. There's this spot that they do when it's consistent, where they have the opponent in the middle of the ring. Yuna hits a lariat. Aya hits a mid kick, and it's a lariat kick sandwich. And then the opponent sells down to either their ass or their knees, and then they go back off the ropes and they do it again. So they hit that move not once but twice, but it's different because now they use it the first time to break their opponent down, and the second time that scores them like a 2.9 count. These two have instant chemistry together, which again just goes to tell you how great Yuna Mizumori, how great she is as a wrestler, and how far she's come over the last 2 years. And the fact that Aya Sakura is somebody that in a year or two from now is somebody that they can really start pushing towards the main event scene, because these two are terrific together. These four wrestlers have great chemistry. Obviously, they're in the same faction together. Aya and SaoriPoi they do a great job making sure Yuna and Aya get as much in this match as possible. They sell enough as possible so they look like they're a threat to the former Goddess of Stardom champions in Soriano and Natsupoi. This was absolutely terrific. Eventually, though, Soriano and Natsupoi, they're able to hit some great double team moves back to back that ultimately leads to the Ferial Gift onto Aya Sakura. Brother, this was 4.5 stars for me. This was absolutely fantastic. And somehow Soriano and Natsupoi, they keep topping themselves each and every match in this tournament.
They're so good. I mean, I'm glad you said that about Yuna and Aya, because I've literally got in my notes for the show from Fukuoka that they are rapidly becoming one of my favorite teams to watch. And seeing as they've only tagged twice, I think that's saying something. Their chemistry is tremendous, and you've got sort of Yuna being that big bruiser, and you've got Aya Sakura being not only the heat magnet but also someone who is able to deliver those shocking kicks, which we actually see on night 6, which obviously you're going to be talking about a little bit later. But yeah, overall, another solid show from what is becoming a very, very entertaining tag league. And I think a conversation we're going to have in that award show is this the best tag league that we've seen? Because at the moment, it's not even close. This is by far the best tag league I've seen, the most consistent tag league I've seen. The wrestlers look like they are having the absolute time of their lives. And, we're going to be talking about the main event from Fukuoka very, very shortly, where it looks like all six, well, five. Hanako hasn't got the memo in that match that it's supposed to be a fun homecoming show, and she wrestles it like a life depends on it, which is brilliant, but also really funny when you compare it to how everyone else acts. But yeah, that's, everyone seems to be, I don't know, there seems to be this very confident and positive energy that is going around Stardom at the moment, which is fantastic, especially for the wrestlers.
Real quick, buddy, I just want to add, you're saying that so far this is the best Goddess tournament. I'm 100% in agreement with you, but correct me if I'm wrong, you have not seen SaoriPoi versus Wingori or Peach Rock versus FWC yet, have you?
I have not. They are on night 6. I am looking forward to them.
The reason why I'm saying that, I think they're the two best matches of the tournament, and you already think this is the greatest tournament ever. And they happen back to back, and then like, oh, by the way, then we're giving you Azumi for Suzu after you just saw those two great tag matches. Enjoy, buddy. Enjoy.
It's my post-football bath watch, that is. Moving on. Moving on to night 4 of the Tag League, which took place on Saturday, the 2nd of November in Fukuoka, in Munakata, Fukuoka to be more precise. It's the first time that Stardom have ever run this particular venue, Munakata Yurix Event Hall. They've run the Fukuoka place. They've run Fukuoka in Japan 20 times altogether, though they mainly have run across Fukuoka or the Fukuoka International Center in more recent times, or the Nishitetsu Hall and the famous Hakata Starlines in the company's earlier days. They drew to this show in Yurix 764 people, which is an 11% increase on the 691 that Stardom drew to Fukuoka the last time that they were there, which was in May 2024, the 5th of May 2024, Matt. And can you remember what main evented that show?
Was it Tam versus Suzuki versus Fukian Death versus Billiken Death versus the Mountie?
With the guest referee being
Rob Goodwin.
Absolutely. There you go. Fukuoka Double Crazy versus Crazy Star for the Goddess of Stardom Championships. So this outdrew it by 11%. A really, really, really good, number for Stardom. Although without having something to compare it to, I don't know just how good it is. But the results for this show are as follows. 6-way match, Momokogo defeated Saya Kamatani, Hanan, Mina Shirakawa, Saori, and Rian, pinning Rian with the neck to Peach in 8 minutes and 24 seconds. Goddess of Storm Tag League, Blue Goddess Action. The team of the moment, SaoriPoi, defeated Team Classroom. SaoriPoi moving to 6 points, Team Classroom staying on 0. Saori Anu pinning Hina with the pottering in 11 minutes and 46 seconds. Red Goddess Action next. BMI 2000 moved to 2 points, defeating O2 Line, who are now 0-3. Azumi taking the pinfall here from Ruaka with an Azumi Sushi reversal, although I will have to remind me to show you how that is translated on the official Stardom website because it's brilliant. In 11 minutes and 50 seconds. Blue Goddess Action, Star Fox, Meisera, and Kohaku defeated Sakura Demon to move to 2 points. Of course, Sakura Demon on 0 points still. Kohaku pinning Aya Sakura with a beautifully innovative roll-up that she calls the Paquette in 11 minutes and 50 seconds. In Red Goddess Action, T-Palm may get their first 2 points against Inaba, and Yagami Tam Nakano pinning Tomoka Inaba with the Violet Screwdriver in 15 minutes and 36 seconds. Blue Goddess Action next in your semi-main event. Devil Princess, Rina and Azusa Inaba got their first 2 points of the tournament, defeating Mad Tiger Girl, Suzu Suzuki, and Starlight Kid, with Rina pinning Starlight Kid with a roll-up and a good handful of tights in 13 minutes and 10 seconds. And then in what was a wildly entertaining match, Hazuki Koguma and Maika's triumphal return 6-woman tag. Fukuoka Triple Crazy, Maika, Hazuki, and Koguma defeated the Stars team of Mayu Otani and Saya Ida and Hanako, when Maika pinned Hanako, her Cup High mate teammate with the Michinoku Driver 2 in 22 minutes and 43 seconds. Matt, let's start with this opener then, the 6-woman tag. It was an interesting one. I think it was your typical sort of fun opener that sort of prepped the audience for what was coming next, because the only real thing that I noticed of any real substance was that Saori and Saya Kamatani were brawling up into the crowd as the finish took place. Great for Momo Kogo to get the win, absolutely, especially as she continues on this sort of quest with herself to try and prove that she is worthy of being in Stars and teaming with Mayu. But Saori and Saya Kamatani, is that a program that we might be looking at further down the line? And if we are, how excited are you for that?
I hope we are. I bet we got to get to the end of that Sherry versus Konami story, right? Because that's why I think the next thing that Sherry
at some point we must. It's
It's the logical thing. And again, I may mention UWF UWF style match, or you said a cage. Why not do cage UWF? Rules match. Get Ken Shamrock in there. Regardless, that's
in his tiny shorts.
Hey, let's go. It's Ken Shamrock. He's a legend, especially in Japan. Anywho, yeah, I hope so. Because again, we talked about before we hit the record button. They did a good job, the camera work, focusing on the two of them brawling all over the building, considering the fact that the win, the pinfall, the most important thing in the match from a kayfabe aspect, has to happen in the middle of the ring. We have 4 other really great wrestlers in this match. They did a great job focusing on that. That leads me to believe there's going somewhere eventually, whether that's Sumo-ha or whether that's maybe the first big program for 2025. And I think that would be the way to go. That gives Saya time to build herself back up for maybe a potential red belt match. That gives Sherry time to, get this feud with Konami, wrap that up in a bow, at least for now, because those two are great together. I'm hoping so because last week we did make mention, the two of them interacted in some of the tag matches that they had, and they were really, really good. Some really excellent chemistry. And again, Sherry is feuding with Konami, who's a member of Hate, who does have that gang warfare mentality. So I'm hoping that that's the way they do go. I'm all for it. Because, again, we've never seen these two have a really big match. I think the last time they had a singles match was at the 2021 5-Star Grand Prix, and they're both better wrestlers now than they were then, which is saying something, because Shuri in 2021, she was pretty good, and so was Kamatani. But anywho, you look at this match partner, there's a lot of star power. You have red belt champions, former winners of the Cinderella tournament, former winners of the 5-Star. A lot of really great star power in this match. It was really cool to see Momo Kogo get a win here, considering the fact that she's one of the most interesting people going into this tag league, because she was the first person to come out and say, "Hey, Mayu, let's go for tag league." And Mayu's like, I don't know just yet. I just don't know just yet. She practically begged Mayu, and then Mayu's like, "Okay, let's go." And Momo Kogo, despite some losses, has really been able to shine against main event talent in this tournament, like a Saya Kamatani, like a Micah, like we just said just a little bit ago, but is coming up on the end of some L's. So to start this show off, again, on a match that has Hanan, that's got Shuri, that's got Mina, that's got Saya Kamatani, for her to get a win here, I thought that was something really, really cool. So ultimately, really great way to start this match. And the fact it only went a little over 8 minutes, 3.5 stars for me, partner.
And I did say the only thing of real note, how dare I be so brash? We did see the in-ring return of Hanan, who I have really missed, actually. She's only been gone from in-ring for just under a month, but the fact that we haven't been able to see any Wingori up until these run of shows has been a point of real soreness for me. Let's move on then to SaoriPoi and Team Classroom. And again, Matt, I mentioned it with the show previously about how Saori Anou and Natsupoi seemed very keen early on to embarrass Aya Sakura, and they did the same with Hina here. And in fact, the only reason that they stopped, the only reason that they started taking the match more seriously, was when Lady C came in and gave them both a giant swing. And I quite like this way that they are wrestling, because we we both know just how good Natsupoi and Saori Anou are. We both know how full of charisma they are. But the fact that they are, delivering all this heat and sort of saying, right, come on then, Hina, come on then, Aya, Sakura, give us what you've got. Okay, we've knocked you down. Let's see how you get back up again. And even though I thought Aya's comeback was a little bit more definitive than Hina's, you've got to remember that Hina is not a consistent member of this roster, with school and everything like that. However, she's still improving. But Lady C, for me, really, really, really good performance from her, Matt.
Yeah, again, we made mention with Aya and Yuna how great they are as a team, and again, very surprisingly so. And we absolutely love it. And Hina and Lady C as well, especially with Lady C taking the charge. She's very much almost kind of thinking we're pushing a lot of new talent. I've been here for quite some time. I paid my dues. Why not me? It really, again, she's not saying that, but it's kind of the way that I feel, the way that she's wrestling these matches. The chops have a little bit more stang to it. Those running kicks have a little more I'm going to hit you with a little more power to it. Her psychology is great. The way she's able to slow things down and pick them back up. And speaking of picking up, she tries to pick up Natsupoi early on in this match for the giant swing, but Saori Anou is having none of it. So, and I like that. I like how it's whenever any one of these wrestlers get in trouble with SaoriPoi, the other one does a great job coming in to help out. So much so, the finish of this match, I thought it was terrific. And we've seen Saori Anou and Natsupoi use the combination of where Saori Anou is trying to get the backslide. She's trying to go for the pottering, and she can't get it. And then Natsupoi comes in and it's don't worry, girl, I got you. Hits the super kick, and that allows Saori Anou to get the backslide and get to the pottering. And anytime I see somebody struggling in the backslide, I'm always remembered of the late great Bobby Heenan. Whenever he was on commentary and there'd be a backslide fight, he'd always yell, "Drop to your knees so I can't take him down." And if you think about it, that makes sense in a shoot style. If you're trying to get backslide, drop to your knees. They can't take you down. Anywho, regardless, I really enjoyed Natsupoi and Saori Anou's tag team chemistry in this match, as well as Lady C and Hina. Hina wrestled terrific match. Lady C was really, really out to prove in this tournament that she can be something special. And I really think when the time is right, they're going to pull the trigger on her. And I think in a year or so, you're going to see big things for Lady C in Stardom. Again, this was just another great SaoriPoi match. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah. Just before we move on, just want to give a quick shout out to Kane's Lance on Discord, who sort of praised our ability to predict things whilst Rossi was still at the company. Says we've lost it recently. Now, I'm not taking offense of that, Matt, because I don't think we ever had it. And this really improves Kane's point, because next we have O2 Line and BMI 2000. And Matt, if you remember when we did our predictions for the tournament, we both predicted that O2 Line were going to do quite well. And O2 Line are currently 0-3. So it feels like the Stardom cast prediction curse is very much back when it comes to O2 Line, doesn't it?
Rob Goodwin, would you like the Matt Turner positive spin on this?
Always.
Because we have 3 playoff spots. Now, obviously, back in the day, whoever the most point in the block, they would go into the finals. It's a little different. You got 3 opportunities to make it to the playoffs, buddy. So there's a possibility they may sneak out of this tournament with 6 points, 7 points, 8 points. It may get that 3 seed and then may run through the rest of the playoffs into the finals. That is a possibility, my friend. However, that didn't happen here. And I made mention when we previewed this match last week that I was a little worried for our friends over there with the Izumi, Miyu, Amasaki from O2 Line, because they dropped the first 2, and me and you have them going pretty far in the tournament. I was like, will they drop this one to BMI 2000? Because any hate team can be the spoiler because of the certain outside interference. And my fears were just a few days after spooky season of Halloween. My fears came to life because it was Ruaka being slick Ruaka and able to stack up Azumi in the Azumi Sushi for the 3 count. And I'll even say this, partner, I enjoy this match. I actually had it 4.25 stars. O2 Line does what O2 Line does. They're great with a high-speed style offense. Their tag chemistry is second to none. I mean, they are right up there with SaoriPoi as far as teamwork goes, as far as psychology, as far as timing goes, ring positioning. I mean, these two are terrific together as a team. But I loved how on the opposite end, you just have Ruaka and Tora, whenever they had the opportunity, it was just lariat, grind them down. Azumi and Miyu build themselves back up with some really flashy babyface tag offense, and then it's like lariat, break them down, toss them to the outside, a little bit of cheating. And then as this match is ramping up, Ruaka really goes out and put, in my opinion, the best performance I've ever seen her, because she does great here towards the end. Is able to keep what the high-paced offense that is Azumi, Miyu Amasaki. And Miyu and Azumi does a great job making sure Ruaka looks like an absolute monster here. You get Azumi eventually hitting the double stomp. You get some great near falls back and forth. And then it looks like Azumi's finally going to put Ruaka away, but Ruaka is able to roll through the Azumi Sushi, and gets the stack surprise win. I thought this was a great match, a great tag match, and I thought Ruaka really upped her game in this match. 4.25 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, Ruaka was really impressive, and I'm glad you brought up that way that they sort of ground Miyu and Azumi down, because it's something that O2 Line actually take into their next block match with T-Palm, especially Miyu Amasaki. So that's something that I think they have learned from in this tournament, which I'm excited by. However, the most important thing for me, at any rate, is what Google Translate has translated the official Stardom website as saying for the finish. Would you like to hear this?
Of course I would, good sir.
So 11 minutes and 29 seconds. Effectively, it's an Azumi Sushi reversal. On the website, Azumi Sushi is cut into pieces and then pressed into a shrimp-shaped mold. What? Azumi Sushi is cut into pieces and then pressed into a shrimp-shaped mold.
Huh. I want some garlic shrimp for dinner now. I'll tell you that.
Some Bubba Gump. Very nice. Moving on, then we move on to Star Fox and our favorite team at the moment, apparently, aside from SaoriPoi, which is Sakura Demon. Matt, there was lots and lots of things to really enjoy about this. The blistering closing stretch between Kohaku and Aya Sakura, which was brilliant. The high-speed offense of Mei Seira, which is always tremendous. We got a fantastic reminder of Mei Seira and Yuna Mizumori's outstanding high-speed championship match as well, proving that Yuna Mizumori is so much more than just a power wrestler, so much more than just a comedy wrestler. She is able to keep up with the likes of Mei Seira in these high-speed exchanges, which makes her so versatile. But Kohaku here massively impressed me. And again, Aya Sakura, one of the big stars of this match, and in fact of this tournament, rising stars of this tournament so far, I think put in another great performance, especially in that really good closing stretch.
You would be forgiven if like this match is lost in the shuffle of the teams that, again, that's FWC, that's SaoriPoi, that's Suzuki and Starlight Kid, because there's a lot of star power. So you're like, this will be a fun match. And this one completely exceeded my expectations in the best way possible. Kohaku and Mei Seira work so well as a team. And again, we made mention how great Yuna and Aya Sakura are as a team, literally right out of the gates. You made mention that I think this is only the third match they've ever had a straight up tag match with. And they're terrific together. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Yuna and Mei start this match out basically picking up where they left off in that instant classic match from Cork and Hall. May gets the better of when it comes to the high speed, and then Yuna's like, it's not a high speed match. I'm just going to use my power. She uses the tackles and then starts to try to grind down the high speed champion in Mei Seira. Eventually, Kohaku comes in, and we get some great tag work between these two with the double drop kicks, with just them being able to use their high-speed style offense to get the better of Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura. Kohaku does this one spot that absolutely blows me away, where she gets whipped into the turnbuckle, and she jumps up and all in one leap turns around and hits a missile dropkick. I was like, wow, she is absolutely fantastic. And again, if she's going to be this sixth person that's going to come in from Neo Genesis, either on a part-time or full-time basis, she fits in perfect with this team because her and Mesa are absolutely crushing it together. And again, we see just some terrific teamwork with Ai and Yuna on Kohago to get the advantage. But eventually it's well, even Aya Sakura does a dive here, which I thought was very
She does.
interesting. I was like, all right, now we're expanding the offensive arsenal of Aya Sakura, and we're doing it on a show that's got a few hundred people there. So I thought that was good. She really took advantage of the situation. But eventually, it's that back heel trip into a roll up combination that does Aya Sakura in from Kohago. Again, great match. 12 minutes, right around 12 minutes. I thought was the perfect time for these two teams to tell their story. 4 stars for me, my friend. And again, I'm absolutely blown away about what I'm seeing from these non-main event tag teams in this tournament.
Well, they're at the foot of the block with 0 points. But I would argue that the crowd reaction, the fighting spirit, and the performances of Sakura Demon in particular is going to be worth so much more in the long run. I feel because you are really developing these crowd reactions. We're seeing it for Sayaka Kurora, who we're going to be talking about in a moment. Obviously, we're seeing it for both Yuna and Ai Sakura here as well. Yes, okay, they may get 2 points, they may get 4 points. But ultimately, in 2-3 years, these are the people that we are going to be talking about going for white belts, going for red belts. So actually developing them is going to be worth more in the long run. And being able to perform at this high level really does bode well for the likes of Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, who was in the next match as T-Palm took on Rana Yagami and Tomoka Inaba in their tag league debut. Matt, a couple of interesting through lines here. Obviously, Rana Yagami and Sayaka Kurora debuted on exactly the same show back in 2023. But obviously, we've already talked a little bit about potential challenges to that red belt that Tam currently holds. Tomoka Inaba did beat Tam in the 5-star Grand Prix. Yes, a very different Tam Nakano than it was in the 5-star Grand Prix, but still, Tomoka Inaba has beaten Tam. Does she get a red belt shot because of that? We got a little tantalizing taste of what that could look like, Matt, and I was very, very impressed. I also really enjoyed the sort of throwbacks to their 5-star match. We saw the ankle lock that submitted Tam in the 5-star, but she's able to drive herself towards the bottom ropes. And that really does paint the picture of this galvanized Tam Nakano since she's won the red belt. And again, Sayaka Kurora, tremendous. Really, really good performance, as it is from Rana Yagami as well, Matt.
Yeah, you made mention. I actually just watched their 5-star match not that long ago, just for the second or third time because with Tomoka and Tam, because I thought it was absolutely excellent. And a hidden gem in what was ultimately a fantastic tournament from Stardom. And if you remember that match, the finish was very emphatic win for Tomoka. She hits the Inaba drop, her version of the Michinoku driver. She goes for the 1 kick, 1 kill Tomoka kick, but Tam goes to block it. And then Tomoka switches and kicks the bad knee of Tam and then locks in that ankle lock knee bar combination to submit Tam. So it's a very, not just a win, but it was a very emphatic win from Tomoka defeating Tam. So I wouldn't say no to a Tomoka versus Tam match. I don't know where it fits in between now and the end of the year, or if Tam does get through the slew of shows at the end of this year and beginning of next year that we're seeing as still red belt champion. That's a match I can definitely see in February, March of next year, and I would definitely say no to it. Many things I love about Tam Nakano is she's almost like a big sister to Aya and Sayaka, and the way that she just kind of make sure that they're okay. She looks after them. We saw it like in the Tekla stuff and the hate stuff. She makes sure she's taking care of them when they're being bullied. And I like how this match, first, I like how Rana and Tomoka. They come out very much like Karate Brave, Tomoka and Shuri in the
There was,
2022. Yeah, with the gis and the music goes down and they do the karate. They do like the karate exhibition thing. I'm like, oh, that was Shuri and Tomoka. What happened 2 years ago? And I say Rana Yagami is very much Shuri light, which is a huge compliment because she's only wrestling a year and Shuri's one of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling. So that's a huge compliment that can pay towards her. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. They're bringing back like the Karate Brave entrance that they did 2 years ago with Tomoka and Shuri. But again, going back to Tam, Sayaka Kurora is like, I'm going to start this match off. And she starts it with Rana. And they kind of were doing a little bit of a feeling out process. And Rana's like, yeah, I had enough of this. She takes down Sayaka with a beautiful double leg takedown. She gets full mount. She starts slapping around Sayaka. Eventually, they cut the ring off. And Tomoka and Rana just take turns beating the crap out of poor Sayaka Kurora to the point where Tam's like, okay, she's not tagging in. The ring's cut in half. I've had enough. And Tam just comes in, just starts beating up Tomoka and Rana to the point you're like, man, I can't wait for this hot tag because it's going to be excellent. And eventually the hot tag does go to Tam. She does what Tam does best, with just that high-paced style offense, with the kicks, with the violent shootings, with the suplexes, the tiger suplexes. Eventually we go back to some great stuff with Sayaka Kurora. She looks terrific here as well. I was able to do a lot of her great comeback stuff onto Rana Yagami. We mentioned the spear and the bulldog and the kicks and the drop kicks and some really great tag work from Tam and Sayaka Kurora. But eventually we do go back to Tomoka and Tam, where you made mention where she locks back in the ankle lock and is trying to go back to that knee that she did great damage on back in the tournament in the summer. Some really great stuff. And then there's a really cool spot where Tam does the hanging dragon suplex, dragon sleeper, and Sayaka does the hanging rear naked choke. So again, they're in the ropes. They have a 5 count to break, so it's not illegal until it gets to the 5. But they're doing dueling submissions in the ropes. They drop their respective opponents, and then Sayaka does a missile dropkick, and Tam does the bombs away knee. So that's a really cool tag spot that they did. And then we just ramp everything up to some great violent stuff with Tomoka Inaba and Tam Nakano. Tam is able to finally hit the violent shooting, kind of getting her win back from the 5-star Grand Prix. Just another phenomenal match in what has been just a chef's kiss tournament. 4.25 stars for me, my friend. Great finish with that violent screwdriver on the Tomoka from our World of Stardom champion.
So just before we move on, a big question now, especially as you don't know the matches. If I was to put you on the spot right now, do you see Tam Nakano coming out of Wrestle Kingdom week as the World of Stardom champion?
I do. I think that she defeats. I think the way that I'm seeing it, and again, I don't know. I haven't asked anybody, nor have I been told. I see her and Kamitani at Sumo Hall with her retaining, and then I see either her and Mayu at Wrestle Dynasty or like a big 6 or 8 person tag match. That's just going to blow the socks off the Tokyo Dome, right? Because that's what Stardom is better at than anybody. These multi-person matches, like what they're able to do. And then maybe her and Tomoka at the anniversary show. That's a possibility. The way that I see it, and again, I could be wrong, and I'm wrong more times than I'm not. And I made mention this a couple months ago. I see her dropping the belt to Micah at Dream Queendom. I think going back to Micah is the way to go. I think you just need to give Tam her run that she couldn't have last year because she was hurt.
It's an interesting one, especially when you look at the light. So Mina Shirakawa, for example, who will be appearing again on Collision, hasn't been part of the 5-star, hasn't been part of the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And a lot of rumblings of that has been because, you look at her paltry Wonder of Stardom championship run, really, when you consider it in 2023. Stardom don't often go back. So it's interesting that you went back to Tam, and now obviously it's a brand new management and booking structure that you go back to Micah as well. And that's something else actually I wanted to talk to you about, but we'll save that for a little bit later on in the podcast to talk about Mina, because it does look, from an outsider looking in, and again, we don't know anything, but it does look like Mina might be on the way out as well. Semi-main event then with Mad Tiger Girl taking on the team of Devil Princess. I really, really enjoyed this match. And what I enjoyed about this match is you look at the star power in Crazy Tiger Girl. You've got Starlight Kid, who is one of the best in-ring competitors Stardom have. You've got Suzu Suzuki, who is right up there as well. Two of the best up-and-comers in Devil Princess. But on paper, you look at that match and there is one winner and one winner only, and it ain't Devil Princess. But tag team chemistry is worth so much more than individual talent when it comes to tag team wrestling. You know, Devil Princess are the New Blood tag team champions. Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki have teamed together maybe 3 times as an actual legitimate tag team. And that showed at times during this match, not because they're terrible, but in storyline is what I mean. You could tell the fact that because Devil Princess knew each other, because Devil Princess knew each other's moves, were familiar, had that synergy, that unspoken agreement, they were able to get on top of Crazy Tiger Girl. And actually, it resulted in what is a hugely shocking win in Blue Block, doesn't it?
There's really, coming out of this match, there's 3 different stories that I got out of this, partner. A really great singles match with Rena and Starlight Kid. Remember, they were in the same. They were in the same faction, which Starlight Kid got kicked out of in the middle of Yokohama at All Star Dream Queendom.
Not only were they part of the same faction, man, they were part of the same subsection of that faction. So they were part of a Wedatai, and then they were part of younger Wedatai as well. So they were closer than many other members of a Wedatai were.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, partner. So that adds on to that. So you have that story, and that plays out really early in this match. And then you got the 2 ass kickers in this match when they go at it with Azusa Inaba versus Suzu Suzuki. We've seen Suzu and the older sister Tomoka tear it down. And Azusa's not too far behind because these 2 properly lay into each other. And then story number 3, the main story of this match is you just get a great tag match. You really do. You made mention, yes, you have Azusa and Rena. They are your New Blood tag team champions. You want to make sure, even though it's kind of like their secondary tag belts, regardless, they're still your tag belts. You have them in this tournament. Take an opportunity to highlight them in this tournament. And so far they are, and especially in this match with the star power that is Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid. And Suzu and Starlight Kid have really great instant tag chemistry. We made mention with Meisera and Kohago. It's like out of nowhere. Like, Yuna and Aya, like out of nowhere. Great tag chemistry. And we've seen Suzu and Starlight Kid team up quite a bit in like multi-person tag matches since Neo Genesis was formed a few months ago. And they gel really, really well together. Ultimately, though, it goes back down to a singles match with Starlight Kid and Rena. And Rena is able to get a shock win that properly popped the crowd and the shockwave. When the ref counted to 3 and Starlight Kid did not kick out on time, everybody went, oh, it was that good, shocking pop that you want. And that Rena and Azusa Inaba can now hang their hat on saying, Starlight Kid, somebody that's always toiled with the main event the last few years, Suzu Suzuki, former winner of the 5-star Grand Prix, was just, a sliver away of winning the red belt back at last year's Dream Queendom. We just beat them clean in the middle of the ring. There was no shenanigans. There was no spray can. There was no this. There was no that. They got a clean win in the middle of the ring, and I absolutely love that. They do a great job elevating this young team that is Rena and Azusa Inaba, and I'm excited to see what they do. And even though Suzu and Starlight Kid took the upset loss, they look great here as a tag team in their first match of this tournament. I had this one at 4 stars, partner. I thought this was a phenomenal story that they told in different layers.
Yeah, definitely. I had it at 4 stars as well. I mean, Mad Tiger Girl have obviously got a lot of time to course correct, but just, it does again show that having just an abundance of star power doesn't necessarily trump tag team synergy. And again, you could argue that Rena got in Starlight Kid's edge. You look at that forearm exchange where Starlight Kid is literally taking her gloves off so that she can hit Rena harder. And you could argue that, all of that emotion of Starlight Kid being usurped unceremoniously out of this group in front of, however many thousands of people in Yokohama Buntai, does she gets the red mist in front of her. And that's ultimately led to her being a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Complacent if you want. And Rena was more than willing and able, and Gable, if you will, to roll her up and to utilize that. So I thought that was a really interesting story, and you're absolutely right. And if we were to get a singles program between Rena and Starlight Kid, Rena's another one who, you know, as I mentioned with Lady C earlier on, it does feel like now that she's had that monumental reign with the Future of Stardom Championship, what's next? I know that she's the New Blood Tag Team Champion. I know that. Aside from that, what's next? Because again, I don't want her going back to the Future of Stardom Championship picture. She's done that. She's conquered that. She's dominated that. So where next? Okay, maybe it's a Goddess of Stardom title shot. Maybe it's the artist belts. Okay, maybe you start to introduce her into those programs. And Starlight Kid's the perfect person to introduce her against. It really would make a lot of sense because there's history there. They work really well together. So, yeah, I'm all for that. Main event time then. And this was so much fun. I got such big house show vibes from this main event. Fukuoka Triple Crazy versus Mayu, Sayurita, and Hanako. And I mean that in the best possible way. Everything was so seamless, from the comedic starts of Koguma and Mayu Iwatani. When was the last time you heard Mayu get booed by an entire building? The brilliant stuff between Hazuki, Hanako, Hazuki, and Sayurita. Maika in that closing stretch, absolutely brutalizing people. This was the perfect balance. And we often say, like, what match would you show people to introduce them to Stardom? This would be the perfect candidate. You have got the perfect meld of incredible crowd support, incredible wrestling, comedy, synergy, tag team chemistry. You've got a brilliant closing stretch. This match had everything, was beautifully put together, a real cathartic moment, and Koguma was the MVP, because poor Koguma got the absolute hell beaten out of her by Sayurita and Mayu. Mayu, by the way, who might have been more into the Kuma dance than I've ever seen anyone.
This match, partner, in a word, fun. It was a whole lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Again, you have a lot of great talent. You have the return of streamers. Yes, please bring back streamers. We love streamers. So, yeah, excellent stuff there with the two of them. With the three of them. You're right, with Mayu doing the Kuma dance with Koguma, I thought was terrific. And yeah, you're right. She was really into it, chasing the bear all around. You get some just great tag work with obviously FWC, and they work so well with Micah. You're right. Hanako was just like, I'm kind of the rookie here. I'm going to show what I can do in this big main event, and she puts on an absolute performance. Don't get me wrong, as does Mayu, as does Saida as well. Saida is able to use a lot of her power advantage, like her and Mike exchanges were really, really good. And I liked how this match finished with just a lot of great double teamwork and triple teamwork to kind of divide and conquer to get Hanako, the rookie, in this match in the ring with F Triple C, as we're calling them. We get the basically the three-way doomsday device and the Michinoku driver to put Hanako away. I thought this was a great match. I like the fact they gave it time to tell. Like, you're absolutely right, the layers of stories. The comedy, the seriousness, the tag work, the triple team work, everybody able to get certain things in. Obviously, Saida and Mayu aren't normal tag team partners, but they are part of Stars. So we got see some teamwork between the two of them. But ultimately, it was just the hometown girls getting the win. And then Hazuki did say that they would like to come back and do this next year. Hopefully that puts to rest some of the people sending me messages on social media saying that Hazuki is turning on Koguma at the end of the year, because I don't think she would pump that up if that was going to happen. Another story for another day. 4 stars for me, partner.
Who are these people? Who are these people who want to see the world burn? Why would you say such things? It is the most wholesome relationship in Stardom. Do not turn Hazuki against Koguma. What are you doing? Don't do this. Do you want to see me cry on a podcast? Do you want that?
We don't want that.
Yeah,
nobody wants that. But
okay.
anywho.
I thought you were going to say, yes, I do want to see that.
No, heck no.
I will just bring up one point, and this was the moment that I knew I was going to really enjoy this match. You said Mayu Iwatani was chasing Koguma around the venue, and yes, she was. Apart from the stairs on the way down, where she started walking and said to the crowd, "You must always walk downstairs." and they did a slow motion chase as they were going down the stairs, and then continued again once she hit the bottom of the stairs. I was like, yeah, this match is for me, I think. But yeah, overall, really, really, really fun match to have. Really good main event. Fantastic. Welcome for Micah, and welcome for Hazuki, and welcome for Koguma, who do work really, really well as a team. So that brings us to night 5 of the Tag League. 2 more shows to go, people. From Oita in Kyushu. This is the first show, actually, that Stardom, apparently, according to my research, the first time Stardom have run a show in Kyushu, and to be more specific, in Oita, with the reported attendance for this show being 341. Obviously, the next show, which was Suzu Suzuki's triumphal return as well, that was also in Kyushu, but a little bit further afield, in a different venue. The results for this show then are as follows. Goddess of Storm Tag League, Blue Goddess, Star Fox, Meisera, and Kohaku moved to 4 points, defeating Team Classroom. Lady C and Hina, with Kohaku pinning Lady C with the double arm T in 10 minutes and 33 seconds to move to 4 points. In a 3-way match, Hanako defeated Rian and Saori, submitting Rian with the Shirasagi in 6 minutes and 22 seconds. Blue Goddess match, SaoriPoi, Natsupoi, and Saoriano moved to 8 points, defeating Devil Princess, Rina, and Azusa and Naba, who remain on 2. Natsupoi pinning Rina with the Fairy Magic in 11 minutes and 27 seconds. In a 4-way non-tournament tag team match, Peach Rock, Mayu Iwatani, and Momokogo defeated BMI 2000, that's Katora and Ruaka, EXV, Micah and Mina Shirakawa, and Sakura, Damon, Yuna, Mizumori, and Aya Sakura, with Mayu pinning Aya Sakura with the German suplex in 7 minutes and 43 seconds. 3 tag league matches to finish the show. Red Goddess, Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki, and Koguma moved to 6 points, defeating Inaba, and Yagami, Tomoka Inaba, and Rani Yagami. Hazuki pinning Rani Yagami with perhaps the highest diving senton I've ever seen. The height that she gets is unbelievable with this senton. 15 minutes and 10 seconds. Mad Tiger Girl in Blue Stars. No, sorry. Is that right? No, sorry. 0-2 line. Azumi and Miyu Amasaki moved to 2 points, getting their first victory of the tournament when they desperately needed it, defeating T-Palm, Tam Nakano, and Sayaka Kurora. Miyu Amasaki pinning Sayaka Kurora with the Tenzai in 13 minutes and 21 seconds. And then in your main event, a tremendous main event, by the way, Mad Tiger Girl, Starlight Kid, and Suzu Suzuki moving to 2 points, defeating the returning Wingori, Hanan, and Saya Ida, who remain obviously on 0 points, with this being their first tournament match. Suzu Suzuki pinning Saya Ida with the Locomotion German suplexes in 14 minutes and 36 seconds. Matt, obviously, Team Classroom are one of the few teams left with 0 points, discounting Hate Supreme, for example, who have not taken part in a match yet. They are advertised, by the way, for the next couple of shows. And it dawned on me after we talked about it, Matt, and how we were like, oh, I wonder if Tekla's okay. Of course, Hate Supreme aren't going to be wrestling. Momo Watanabe's not in the country, is she?
Oh yeah, look at that. We outworked ourselves. Buddy.
We did outwork ourselves. So obviously everyone's fine. Again, we're going to go through the 3 cards that they've announced now in full, and Tekla is on them, so that's good news. But yes, Lady C attacks this match like her life depends on it. And again, it leads to another very, very good match. The weight, of course, for Team Classroom's first tournament win goes on, Matt. But again, it's more a case of how you are developing this team. Yes, they aren't necessarily getting the victories, but it's another really, really good match. Meisera as well really ramped up the intensity in this match, proper hitting Hina with those drop kicks in the corner.
Yeah, I like how May goes to start this match off with what her, go to her bread and butter. It makes sense, her high-speed style. And eventually Lady C times it just perfectly and is able to slow the match down and grind the match down for Team Classroom. But ultimately, it's just the speed advantage from Kuhago and May Sarah that gets the advantage of this match. But yeah, you're absolutely right. May Sarah, some of those drop kicks that she throws, we always praise her for her timing, her precision, how great of a technical wrestler that she is, the high speed style, the way she's able to get in and out of these roll ups with such, with just looks absolutely flawless. They don't talk enough about how great of a striker she is. I mean, she's no Momo Watanabe or Shuri, but who is? But she throws some great forearms and some really great drop kicks. And when she's coming at you 1,000 miles an hour with that drop kick, boy howdy, it really, really looks like it hurts. Yeah, ultimately, this was a solid match. Great match to start off this tournament. You're absolutely right with Lady C and Rena not picking up a lot of wins, but they're having a lot of really good matches here. And this was one of them. I had it at 3.5 stars. I thought this was a solid way to start off this show.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really made me want to see a Lady C and Kohaku singles match. I'd really, really be into that. I felt like those two especially had really good chemistry in this match. And again, just goes on to what I was saying earlier. Lady C is having a really good tournament in spite of the results. We move on to the three-way then, Saori, Rian, and Hanako. And Matt, I must admit, when I first saw that this was a three-way, I really did fear for Rian. Especially like in this graphic, she is significantly shorter than the other two. It does very much feel like she is going to get pummeled to within an inch of her life. But I did forget that her and Hanako are in the same faction. So for a very brief moment right at the start of the match, they do team up against Saori. So the match lasts longer than I did think it would do. And actually, it was a really quite clever finish because it was Rian and Hanako at the end. And every time Saori tried to get back into the ring, one of the EXV girls hit the ropes completely accidentally, knocking Saori back out of the ring. And it was done so well that you could have thought it was completely accidental. Really thoroughly enjoyed this match. Thought it was a good performance. Obviously, Rian was eating the fall. Hanako gets the win. And overall, a decent enough match, Matt.
Yeah, you're right. They kind of try to double team Sherry, but ultimately, is that smart to do? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, you do raise a good point.
Because it's Sherry. Yeah, this is a fun match. Again, three ways are tough to do, especially when you have somebody as inexperienced as Hanako, somebody that's inexperienced as Rianne. Obviously, they'll get there. And Sherry's not like as great as a wrestler as she is. And again, she's one of my favorite wrestlers in all of wrestling. Hence why we're doing an entire Christmas themed Sherry episode next month. But she's not your Azumi's. She's not your Natsupoi. She's not your typical three-way style wrestler. They made the most out of it. It was fun. It had its placement on the card. It didn't go too long. Sherry Hanako winds up picking up a win here. Ultimately, this was a fun match that nobody got hurt on. They're able to get in, tell their stories, and get out. I had this at 3 stars.
Moving on then to Matt's team of the tournament, SaoriPoi. They're taking on Devil Princess in Blue Block. Now, I mentioned earlier on, I've mentioned in the last two matches that we talked about SaoriPoi in, that they have wrestled very, very well, but it feels like there's another gear to them, which is ever so slightly terrifying. But also, again, it's that complacency. They were very mocking of Aya Sakura, of Hina. Yet here, it's a very different style of match because they start on the back foot when Azusa Inaba attacks Saoriano from behind, and Devil Princess are on top in this match for a good 80% of it. And it's a very different dynamic because SaoriPoi are having to work a lot harder, seeing a lot of their offense be ultimately for nothing because Devil Princess are able to bend the rules, break the rules, use that double team and numbers game to their advantage in a lot of cases. And it actually takes a surprise roll up for Natsupoi to get the win here. And I really enjoyed this flipping of dynamics in this match because we have been used to in this tournament so far seeing SaoriPoi be so dominant. And I think expecting almost to win. And then obviously they come across something a little bit different and Devil Princess give them a proper fright here. However, they do move to 8 points. They are top of the block. I would be absolutely amazed if they aren't one of the three. I would be amazed if they aren't top of the block, I will be perfectly honest. But again, huge shout out to Devil Princess. Azusa Inaba is 16, Rina is 17. Azusa Inaba has a year of ring experience. I'm just going to leave that out there in the world, Matt. I find it absolutely baffling that you can be that good at something with such little experience.
I've been wrestling longer than both these members have been alive, and they're way better than me. So I don't know what that says about me, or again, the positive spin is they're really good at wrestling at a very young age. Let's just look at it like that.
Let's leave it at that. Yeah.
You made a great point how Soriano and Natsupoi, they're one of the favorites in this, pre-prediction of the tournament. And they're again, they have not lost the match. You're absolutely right. Rina and Azusa, who on the previous show get a surprise win over two main eventers and Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki. So why wouldn't they be able to do it here? They don't get the win here, but you're absolutely right. They dominate 70-80% of this match. And there's this one spot they did in this match, and I'm pretty sure I'll have to take a look at my notes that they did it in the next show that we're going to talk about, where Natsupoi starts getting ahead of steam. She starts building up her offense, and she's, Natsupoi she does a lot of her offense with kinetic energy, where she's moving back and forth. She is the high speed fairy. She is not Tupoi, but anyway, she's starting to work up, and what happens is she's starting to beat up on Rina a little bit. And then she goes off the ropes, and Azusa drops off the apron. She trips Natsupoi. So by the time Natsupoi takes her face bump, Rina's already on the second rope, and she comes off with the diving double knee bomb to the back of Natsupoi, which I thought was great because she's cheating a little bit, right? It's a heel move, but it's not 100% cheating. It's not the baseball bat. It's not a weapon. It's not all 84 members of hate. It's just something little subtle that you're like, oh, come on. But it's a really cool spot that they can use as a cutoff. And I thought it was brilliant. And again, I'm almost positive they do it on the next show. I'm like, if that's something that they do in every match when it's put in at the right place and the right time, it's perfect genius psychology. But eventually Soriano comes in. They miss that the double kick spot that I mentioned before, where Natsupoi goes for the super kick and Soriano does the step up enziguri, and I liked how they're able to get out of that and they're able to build the heat back up. Eventually, though, we do see SaoriPoi is able to work back up some double team offense. Soriano looks like an absolute killer here. Natsupoi is a very, very great seller, so the psychology of this made sense. Have Natsupoi be on the one that's on the selling. A lot of this is Azusa Naba is able to stop a lot of the high-paced offense that is SaoriPoi with just those brutal mid kicks. They do a great job getting over Azusa's kicks in this match to a former Wonder of Stardom champion and the current Wonder of Stardom champion and Natsupoi. So they do a great job putting over really that one solid move from Azusa Naba is those mid kicks. You're absolutely right. Natsupoi is able to escape the Pink Devil from Rina and then is able to roll her up with the Fairy Magic for the 3 count. Great match. This was something different that I didn't expect going in. I love the outcome. I love, though, even though Rina and Azusa ate the L here, they really came out the winners because they really dominated the former Goddess of Stardom champions. 4 stars for me, partner.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. And actually, I think Devil Princess have been really good in this tournament. And actually, just going back to that spot, they did do that in the match with Crazy Tiger Girl as well. They did it to Suzu, I believe. They definitely did it, though, because I remember looking at it going, that's a really cool move. I love that. Anyway, moving on, we have the 4-way tag team match, Matt. And I believe if you look up in the dictionary palate cleanser, this match comes up. It's very much a sort of rest so that everyone can get back on as we go herring into those final 3 matches of Tag League, Matt.
Yeah, we made mention how, Mina not in any of these big tournaments this year. She's doing a lot of stuff with AEW, which, we don't know what's going on there 100%. I have no problem seeing Mina on my TV every other week or whatever for AEW because she's terrific. But boy, howdy, I mean, she comes across at every entrance that she does is an absolute star between the dance, between how she connects with the crowd, between the comedic stuff she does in the beginning of the match, between her strikes, the way she builds up knee work. I mean, Mina Shirakawa is just a massive massive star, not just in Stardom, but pro wrestling. And she comes off as a huge, huge star in this match that does have Micah, that does have Mayu, that has your former red belt champion here in Nasa Katora. But I like how, with the exception of Micah and Mina, all the other 3 teams, they're all tag teams that are in this tournament. So it's kind of like almost like a special goddess match with no points on the board, right? Just kind of, you're right, like a palate cleanser. It's just like everybody's going to go in, they're going to play the hits, they're going to fit things where they need to fit, with ultimately it's Peach Rock getting a win, a much needed win, even though, obviously there's no points involved, but Peach Rock unfortunately have lost more matches in this tournament than they have won. So it's nice to see them get a win over, our new favorite tag team in Yuna and Aya. I thought this was a terrific match, with Mayu getting a win with the German suplex. We don't see her win many matches with the German suplex. It's either the moonsault or the 2-step dragon or just the snapdragon. So I thought that was really cool. Terrific match. Less than 8 minutes. 8 people in the match. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Just a really quick, everybody get in, get what you need to do, have some fun, and get out. Tell a good story. That's exactly what they did here. Excuse me. Pardon me. 3 3/4 stars for me, partner.
So in regards to Mina, so obviously a lot of people are saying, right, Tony Khan is stealing people. He's not. Otherwise, she'd have gone already. I imagine that come the end of her contract, she will be a member of AEW. I imagine that's probably where she's going. Again, we don't know anything. My big concern in regards to Mina going, obviously my primary concern is Stardom, because that's the promotion I love. That's the promotion I watch. I don't watch enough of AEW to care about it too much. I worry with Mina Shirakawa that she will get lost on the roster. Whilst you were talking then, I was just having a look at the female roster on AEW. They have 39 active competitors on the women's division. And even though you can argue that AEW television is getting better in regards to women's matches, the amount of women's matches, the time they're given, you only have a finite amount of time. My primary concern is, does Mina get lost? Because you've got Jamie Hayter just coming back. You've got Mercedes Moné. You've got Mariah May. You've got Toni Storm. You've got Britt Baker. You've got Hikaru Shida. You have got all these big names at the top of that roster. And I worry that Mina will eventually be sort of lost in the shuffle in the same way that unfortunately so many others have as well. I don't know if that's just a me thing or if that's you as well, Matt. But obviously, most important thing is I want Mina to be happy. That's the main crux of this. I want Mina to be happy. If she wants to go to AEW, absolutely go for it. Go for your dream. I'm just not confident with how AEW books the women's division, how she will be used, especially once this Mariah May, Toni Storm arc has come to its climax, Matt.
You want the Matt Turner positive spin on what
this is why I say these things.
I don't know if she's going to go to AEW. I just think they're kind of using her sporadically, right? Because they have that working relationship with each other. Say at the end of the year, when I think the contracts are up for Stardom, I think the end of March. Say she does sign with AEW. And you're right, there's over 30 women on that roster. They're not an all women's promotion like Marigold and like Stardom. So there's some times where the women only get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes per show. So you're right. Maybe say there's nothing for Mina to do for a week or two. Why can't she say, hey, boss, got anything for me the next week or two? No, because we're doing this thing with Deonna Purrazzo or Serena Deeb or Hikaru Shida or Riho or a number of the phenomenal talents that is on the AEW women's roster. Why can't she say, well, can I go back to Stardom for a week or two and do some shows there? So this way I'm not doing nothing. Why not? The crowd knows her. She has a place in Stardom. They can plug her into any match, and it would feel like something important. Like at the end of every episode, when you run down the cards partner, say she does sign with AEW and say it's June, we haven't seen anything from Mina in 2 or 3 months. Like, oh, Mina's coming back on a random tag match in Korakuen Hall. Great, it'd be great to see Mina again. That would be the positive thing on it. I think if you're asking me today what they're going to do, I think when her contract's up, I think she's going to do almost like a split contract, almost like what she's doing now, where she'll be paid a little bit through Stardom, she'll pay through a little Arbushi Road, she'll pay through a little bit through AEW, where she continue to do both things. And the really good thing about that is with the stacked roster that is Stardom, you can afford to have Mina go to AEW, the second biggest wrestling company in the world, and draw more fans to Stardom. And Mina's the perfect person. She's not your main eventer, constant Mayu. She's not your main eventer, constant Tam. And now probably Kamatani and Micah are right there as well as Shuri, where it's like we can't afford her to go because she's the one drawing tickets. She's somebody that's so charismatic, so great in front of the camera, and they always make mention Mina Shirakawa from Stardom. On her video wall, it says Stardom when she comes in. So now you're getting the second largest professional wrestling audience in the world watching. This is Mina Shirakawa. Oh, I really like her. Oh, she's a great wrestler. Oh, she does this, she does that. Where's she from? She's from Stardom. And again, we've seen the YouTube subscriptions go up. We've seen the ticket sales go up. We understand that the pay-per-view buys are going up. We understand that the Stardom World subscriptions are going up. A good portion of that could do with Mina Shirakawa. And very much like Mariah May a year ago, I have a lot of my personal friends and a lot of friends I know through wrestling that are very interested in Stardom now because of what Mariah May was able to do on AEW, and now what Mina is, where I'm constantly recommending matches for Mariah May. The great thing with Mina Shirakawa is she's still in Stardom, and she has a bigger catalog than Mariah May. So it's like that. It's like, wow, okay, I'm watching Mina versus this Mayu. Who's this Mayu? Well, go fall down that rabbit hole and talk to me in 6 months. So there's the positive spin on it. Regardless, if she does leave Stardom, she's going to sign with AEW, and they already have a working relationship with Stardom. So it's already right there. So I don't think we're seeing Mina Shirakawa go off our Stardom TVs in quite some time, for quite a while. Is she going to be there full time? No, she's really not there full time anyway. And again, you can afford to take a Mina Shirakawa and have her go over to AEW TV and absolutely tear it up, and then help draw more viewers back to Stardom. So there is your Matt Turner positive spin of the week, or maybe just the moment, my man, because I'm all full of positivity, brother.
Absolutely, got to be. My final sort of point, if I'm going to flip this now, if you're Mina, well, no, let me rephrase. If you're Stardom, has Mina done everything in Stardom that she is going to be able to do? Now, bearing in mind that Mina Shirakawa has already been a Wonder of Stardom champion, irrelevant of how nominal that reign was, she's been a Goddess of Stardom champion, she's been an Artist of Stardom champion. Is Mina on the level where she is going to win a 5-star Grand Prix? Is Mina on the level where she is going to win the red belt? Because those are the next two things up from what she's already done. And if you look at the people who are potentially in front of Mina to do that, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Saya Kamatani, you said about Micah again, you've got Tam, who's currently the champion, Natsupoi, Hazuki. So do you think, obviously I know that you are not of the opinion that Mina is going to leave full-time to go to AEW, but from a Stardom point of view, do you feel like Mina, she's a big star. I love Mina Shirakawa. If I had my way, if I was being selfish, I wouldn't want her to leave because I enjoy her matches. I think she's great. Is she going to be that top person in Stardom? Is she going to be able to reach that red belt in Stardom and feel like the legitimate top person in the company, Matt?
Well, I mean, if you take a look, the last 7-8 months, is there a bigger worldwide star in Stardom than Mina because of the AEW exposure she's been getting? You can make an argument, not really. So, I mean, she might be, as much as we love Mayu. Mayu's only wrestled in the States a handful of times. Where, again, Mina's wrestling not only in the States, but, again, wrestling for the second biggest wrestling company. And they're building her up properly. And it's not like she's on an underneath tag. She's involved in this big storyline with your two main event women's wrestlers in Mariah May and Toni Storm. And one of the best storylines AEW has done in their short history. So, is this just something smart for Stardom, saying, okay, right, eventually we're going to put the red belt on Stardom, eventually we're going to put the world belt, the red belt on Mina? Is Mina eventually going to win the 5-star? Sure. How can we heat her up in a way that we've never done with any wrestler before? Why don't we take a year, send her over to the States, let them get her a big push over at AEW, because again, we have that working relationship. And then what's to say after this AEW runs over, Mina, after a match, maybe Sumo Hall, maybe at the anniversary show, maybe one of the big Cinderella tournament shows, says, you know what, I'll go to AEW back and forth when I can, but right now my focus is winning the World of Stardom Championship. And now we get that rocket behind Mina where she does win the 5-star, or she does have a big main event match with Tam, because that's a big money match, her and Tam for the red belt, maybe at All-Star Grand Queendom next year, if that's the way they go. That's a possibility. Can it happen? Absolutely. Is she talented enough to win the red belt? 100%. Is she talented enough to win a 5-star Grand Prix, to be in the same category of the names of the Mayus, the Otamis, the Micahs, the Julias? 100%. How they get there, I don't know. And this might be something where she just likes going over to America, which we've seen. And from what we understand, the backstage people in AEW absolutely love Mina. They're loving what they're getting. At the same time, this could be something where AEW or Stardom is just like, let's get Mina out of Stardom from time to time to get somebody else over, because that roster is so stacked, partner, that let's focus on maybe getting somebody else over. And then when we bring Mina back to these shows, it feels like a bigger deal. And maybe that's what they do for the next couple of months. And then maybe Mina's like, no, I've been over to America. I've done everything that I possibly could over there. My focus is winning the World of Stardom Championship. What a great story that could be. That could be a really, really great story if that's what's in the cards for Mina Shirakawa. And ultimately, you're right, partner, it's all what she wants to do, because ultimately, she just needs to be happy. A lot of different ways they can go about it, partner, but I'm excited either way.
I do like your way of thinking, absolutely. The one thing that I think is against that is time, because, Mina Shirakawa is 36. How long is she going to continue wrestling? The same age as Tam Nakano. And we know that Tam's been retiring for about as long as Mayu's been retiring, in fairness. So, but, if you are going to take that, say, year, 18 months out to wrestle primarily in America, you're then 38, 39. So is that then too long before you can go for that? I don't know. I don't know how the booking works. I don't know how you would go about that. It's just another thing to consider. Again, echoing what you said, Matt, the primary thing is that Mina enjoys what she's doing and where she's doing it. So if she goes to AEW, brilliant. If she stays in Stardom, fantastic. If she has a split contract, good for her. That's the main thing. And I mean that completely, not just because I'm being blindly positive or anything. I do genuinely mean that. Moving on then, let's talk more about this show then, because we've still got a show to watch. And Matt, I am bursting for the loo. So let's talk then about Fukuoka Double Crazy against Inaba and Yagami and Matt Turner. They've gone and done it. They have gone and done it. It looks like we might be getting Hazuki versus Tomoka Inaba. It feels like Christmas, my friend. I am so excited for that. But more importantly than that is that Rani Yagami very nearly did the Kuma dance. But Saori came out. Saori doesn't always come out for God's Eye matches, which makes me laugh. So she chose this one in order to make sure that Rani Yagami wasn't tempted by the Kuma dance. Do you know who the most into it in the entire arena was? Taro Okada. He's not helping matters, dancing in the background. What are you doing? Trying to get Rani Yagami in trouble. But yeah, again, another phenomenal match. Excellent chemistry between these four women. Hazuki and Rani Yagami had a really good exchange. We got a little bit of a tease of Hazuki and Tomoka Inaba, and then we had that not clash at the end. It was a respectful sort of stare down. And then, of course, in her post-match comments, Tomoka Inaba said, I want a singles match with Hazuki. Yes, please. Let's do that very, very soon.
We had a little bit of everything in this match. Yeah, you had Koguma was really trying to get the Kuma dance going. And yeah, Sherry comes out and she's like, absolutely not. No. She's just waving her hands. No, absolutely. This is not happening on my watch with my team, which I thought was hilarious. And Sherry was trying her best to keep a straight face. As much as an ass kicker that she is, Sherry's an absolute sweetheart and really pretty good with her comedic timing as well. Very much like Minoru Suzuki is an absolute ass kicker and terrifying, but pretty good when it comes to the comedic timing. And I thought, again, the little thing that Sherry just adds to this match. Eventually we have this fantastic match. Again, terrific teamwork here from FWC. I said it before, I'll say it again. In my opinion, the best tag team in all the wrestling. Just great teamwork here. Eventually, though, it's Rana and Tomoka just being able to hit these blistering kicks to Hazuki, including this very violent kick sandwich to the People's Champion, which I thought was great. Rana is able to take advantage of that and locks in an armbar into Hazuki. which Suzuki sells properly. I mean, just really gets Rana over in this armbar and makes it like she's going to submit the People's Champion in Hazuki. We eventually get a forearm trade with Rana and Hazuki that is all sorts of violence. Obviously, yes, Rob, I want that Tomoka versus Suzuki match. I wouldn't be hurt if the appetizer we get is Rana Yagami versus Hazuki, because these two were terrific together. Hazuki locks in a crossface on Rana Yagami. Eventually, the FWC goes for the FWC double dive. That gets stopped. We get some Eliminator style offense from Rana and Tomoka, which we've seen quite a few times actually in this tournament. So FWC looks like they're studying their blue and gold tapes, and it looks like that Rana and Tomoka are studying their ECW tapes, stealing some stuff from Saturn and Cronus, one of my favorite tag teams from ECW. But again, like Jake Roberts always says, nowhere to take your stuff from. But I love how they are doing like the Eliminator style offense with these two fantastic strikers in Tomoka and Rana. Excellent stuff there. Izuki finally gets one up on Rana, hits this insane pump kick to poor Rana Yagami. It might have been one of the stiffest ones I've ever seen Hazuki do, which is saying something. The powerbomb neckbreaker combination onto Rana Yagami eventually sets up one of the biggest sentons ever in wrestling. Top rope senton from Hazuki to Rana Yagami for the 3 count. 4 stars for me. But that's not all, partner. You're absolutely right. We are teasing and setting up a Tomoka versus Hazuki singles match somewhere down the line. Great stuff between two great teams.
Yeah, rumor has it is they had to clear air traffic before Hazuki took flight with that. She was so high. But yeah, I mean, if we were to get Hazuki and Rana Yagami in a singles match at, say, a New Blood, that would be a really, really, really good match. And then that sort of goes into a Hazuki and Tomoka Inaba match, which again, super into. Moving on then to O2 Line, finally getting a victory in this tournament against T-Palm. Matt, we could be seeing another potential Future of Stardom championship feud. We've already seen Hanako get the pinfall victory, or the submission victory, should I say, over Miyu Amasaki. We know that Aya Sakura is very keen on going after it again as well. And we saw a lockup here to start the match, Sayaka Kurora and Miyu Amasaki, and that is yet another route we could be going down with the Future of Stardom championship. And in the same vein as Tomoka Inaba, let's not forget that Azumi also got a pinfall victory over Tam during the 5-star. So that, in theory, should be another potential red belt challenge for Azumi against Tam.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they have the opportunity if they want to rack up these Tam red belt matches, considering the fact that everybody she lost to in the tournament, technically, and we said it before, we'll say it again, can lay claim to getting a World of Stardom Championship match. And Tam Road Part 2 is on a phenomenal start with the match with Mike and the match with Suzu. And then, who knows, we may get the Kamatani match, we may get a Tomoka match, an Azumi match, a Momo match, a Mayu match. I mean, all those matches would be next level epic. And you can really ramp up the successful title defenses for Tam if that's the way to go about it. I obviously wouldn't say no to it. Yeah, this was just another great match. Tam and Sayaka, they're gelling really well right out the gate in this tournament. And again, Tam does a great job making sure Sayaka is able to look as good as she can in this match, really setting her up for success. Very much like we've been seeing Mayu do with Momo Kogo. Tam kind of does the same thing. Makes sense. Mayu, the leader of Stars. Tam, the leader of Cosmic Angels. And again, Miyu and Azumi, just their tag team work, just their blitzing, lightning fast precision tag team work just absolutely blows me away. Just some great stuff. It's Tam and Azumi. Azumi is able to reverse a big I like how O2 Line comes in. They come in hot on Miyu Amasaki. Tam is able to slow down O2 Line with that reverse DDT combination, which I thought was really, really cool. Azumi goes for the double stomp early on in this match, but winds up missing. And then Sayaka is able to come back with a big dropkick and then a spear to Azumi. Tam then is able to fire up more teamwork from the Cosmic Angels duo with the spin kick. Eventually, though, we see O2 Line able to get the advantage back with their tag teamwork. Again, Sayaka, a pretty good singles wrestler. Tam, kayfabe speaking, she's the best singles wrestler in this company because she's the red belt champion. How do O2 Line able to counteract that with teamwork? Because they're the more seasoned team. Ultimately, though, it's Miyu Amasaki. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's Miyu Amasaki and Azumi is able to, again, divide and conquer. They're able to get Tam out of this match. and they're able to get the younger Sayaka Kurora back in the ring, and Miyu's able to follow up with the Tenzai for the 3 count. 4.25 stars for me, my friend. I thought this match was absolutely terrific.
Yeah, really, really good. And when I talked earlier about O2 line sort of being ground down by BMI 2000, that was exactly what Mio Amasaki was doing here, grinding down Sayaka Kurora with the repeated DDT, working that neck so that eventually Sayaka Kurora didn't have any energy left. She gets hit with the Tenzai, and that's that. I thought that was a really interesting thing that Mia had taken from that BMI 2000 match. Looking ahead then to the main event, Crazy Tiger Girl or Mad Tiger Girl, both are being used, against Wingori. Matt, I have missed Wingori. Hanan might only have been gone less than a month, but it doesn't stop me forgetting that they come to all their big matches now with swords. Completely forgot that that was a thing, but by God, it's badass.
You're gonna bring it back at Tag League, right? What the hell? Not only do they come in with swords, they come with some great teamwork. They start right off the bat. They get the early advantage on Suzu Suzuki with classic Wingori teamwork, which I really like. Eventually, Suzu and Starlight Kid, they turn the table and they do this insane running double drive-by to Hanan, which I thought was a really cool spot. Hanan is able to stop all the momentum from Crazy Mad Tiger Girl, Neo Genesis, whatever they're calling themselves, which just judo throws Starlight Kid almost through the mat, which I thought was terrific. Saida comes in and does what she does best, and she just uses her power advantage over the former high-speed champion Starlight Kid with some brutal chops to the Sky Tiger. We eventually get this little mini match with Starlight Kid versus Han, and my exact note is these two are so smooth together, like just absolutely flawless how they're able to execute even the littlest things, even like the Irish whips, even them coming off the top rope, like the lockups, the wrist lock exchanges. Like these two like make pro wrestling look so effortless. And considering the fact that Hanan is only 19 and Starlight Kid I think is like 21 or 22, I mean it just goes to show you the depth of this roster at a young age is really something incredible. Eventually, this gets ramped up with some great Crazy Tiger teamwork. We see the double corner dropkick to Saida. Hanan has seen enough. She comes in, double euros to hits everybody with European uppercuts. Excellent stuff there. Sai Kamatani. Saida fires back up, hits a stiff sliding lariat to Suzu Suzuki for a 2 count. We get Suzu and Saida, a big form exchange in the middle of the ring. Yes, please. That was excellent. Suzu Suzuki eventually gets the better of the striking exchange, hits the tequila shot for the 2 count. We do see an Itabashi onto Suzu Suzuki for a 2.9 count, which I thought was a great falsie. Starlight Kid takes out Hanan in this match with a beautiful dive to the floor, leaving a mini singles match with Suzu Suzuki and Saida, which is absolutely terrific. But Suzu Suzuki is eventually able to get the advantage and hits the locomotion German suplex for the 3 count, putting Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki on the board with their first 2 points of this tournament. 4.25 stars for me, sir.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25 stars as well. I thought it was a tremendous match. I really enjoyed those exchanges between Starlight Kid and Hanan. And you could tell that they were sort of playing on the we know each other from our time in Stars, because Starlight Kid for a while was able to preempt everything Hanan did and was able to manipulate it into a targeting of her knee. And I thought that was really, really, really well done. And it was only when Saida interjected herself into the match that Hanan was able to get any sort of momentum going. But yeah, overall, fantastic match. Now, Matt, obviously, as we've already said to our dear listeners, I haven't had chance to watch the show from Miyazaki. So what I will do is I will go through everything and then it is over to you. If you want to miss matches out, you are more than welcome to. If you want to skip over matches, please feel free. I will put the graphics up and listen intently. But let's move to night 6, which was in Miyazaki on November the 4th, Monday, at the Miyazaki UMK Sports Studio. Suzu Suzuki's triumphal return. 420 people in attendance in the venue. First time Stardom have done or run the venue, and they have sold it out. Not a seat in the house for Suzu's brand for Suzu's return, should I say. So we open with the 12-woman tag. Maika, Mina Shirakawa, Hanako, Rian Tam Nakano, and Sayaka Kurora versus Meisei, Starlight Kid, Miyu Amasaki, Saori, Hina, and Lady C, with Hina's team coming out the victors, with Hina pinning Rian in 12 minutes and 54 seconds with the Gedo clutch. Tag league action, Blue Goddesses, with Sakura Demon picking up the victory over Devil Princess. Aya Sakura pinning Azusa Inaba with a right high kick in 13 minutes. More of our tag league action. Red Goddesses now with BMI 2000, Natsukatora and Ruaka winning against Tomoka Inaba and Rana Yagami. Ruaka pinning Rana Yagami with a lariat in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Inaba and Yagami still on 0 points. BMI 2000 up to 4 points. Blue Goddess match next with SaoriPoi, Saoriano, and Natsupoi moving to 9 points as they go to a time limit draw with Wingori. Hana and Sairida, who get their first point of the tournament to move to 1 point. Then we have got in the Red Goddess block Peach Rock versus FWC, an all-stars affair. FWC getting their 4th win of the tournament, with Koguma submitting Momokogo with a sleeper hold in 13 minutes and 33 seconds. And then in your main event, Suzu Suzuki returns to Miyazaki for the first time. Her mother was in the front row. I don't know if you saw that. I thought that was really cute. But she defeated Azumi in her triumphal return match, pinning her after a German suplex in 16 minutes and 53 seconds. Matt Turner, over to you, good sir.
Yes, sir. I'm going to talk about the show, but I'm not going to go into too depth detail because this is the best Goddess show so far this year. Maybe a top 12, 15 Stardom overall show this year, because this is how good it was. So, first of all, the crowd was molten hot, and I don't want to. Obviously, you know the results, and obviously we're podcasting this for our fantastic listeners, but I don't want to give away too much in the match because I want you to enjoy this entire show. And once I give you once I go through all my star ratings, you'll understand why you probably need to watch this entire show. So the opener, 12-person tag, was fun. Crowd was super hot. A lot of star power in this match. Again, you have 12 wrestlers. You wonder how it's going to go because one thing goes wrong, you kind of get the domino effect. This was a really fun opener, a great way to start the show. I had it actually at 3.5 stars, sir. Next slide. Is that how we're going to do this? Like it's a PowerPoint presentation? All right, next slide. There it is. Wow, look at that. We made mention literally as we started talking about this show a little over 2 hours ago, how great these two teams are with Devil Princess and Yuna and Aya. And this one, buddy, did not disappoint. We figured they'd have a good tournament, but they are over exceeding our expectations. And these two teams knew the assignment going in. I thought this was just a terrific match. A lot of hard hitting stuff, especially with the kicks with Aya and Azusa. Obviously, Rena's terrific here. The teamwork of Devil Princess is really second to none, as well as Yuna and Aya Sakura. And again, Rob, I want you to pay attention to all these star ratings I'm giving for this is match 2. 4.25 stars, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Next slide, sir. Okay. You know what you're getting here. Hard-hitting, straight-up pro wrestling at its finest. This was absolutely terrific. 11 minutes of great hard-hitting action. BMI 2000 bended the rules when they needed to. And then basically Tomoka and Rana use what they use best, and that's their kicks, that's their forearms. Really good stuff. Rana does a great job like torturing Ruaka, which is kind of, I know it's going to sound sadistic, it's kind of like what you want to see because Ruaka is the heel that kind of has one of the weapons that everybody hates. So you just see Rana torturing Ruaka with these kicks, and she locks in this double arm bar that it's like, I don't know if that's shoot or if that's not, because Ruaka's, again, she's a heel, she's kind of a swarmy heel. It's like Ruaka is selling like to the point where you almost feel bad for her. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, that's what hate gets. Really solid outing. 4 stars for me, sir. Rob Goodwin, we always talk about during the 5-star Grand Prix, there's always a few matches to start out the 5-star Grand Prix. That like, oh, that's the match to beat. Like Tam and Mayu on night 1 this past year. Last year we had Suzu and Sherry, and we had Soriano and Julia right from night 1, where all these matches in this tournament have been fantastic. But there really hasn't been that one, oh my God, stop what you're doing. You need to watch this match like we see in the 5-star. Again, the tournament.
Away match,
yeah. The tournament's been great. It's on pace to be easily the greatest Goddess of Stardom tournament ever. But there's not that one where I'm texting Andy Header saying, stop what you're doing. You need to watch this match. Rob Goodwin, when you come back from football, stop what you're doing. You need to see this match. 4 and 3/4 stars for me. The best match of the tournament. That's all I need. I mean, this match is it's exactly what you know it was going to be. Back and forth. It's a 50-50 match. 2 baby faces teams. You have great single stuff there with Hanan and Soriano. We know how great their match was for the Wonder of Stardom Championship back at Dream Queendom. Saida is terrific here, especially with her beating up on poor Natsupoi, because the way Natsupoi is able to sell and then fire back her strikes onto Saida. I would love to see Hanan versus Natsupoi for that Wonder Belt somewhere down the line. You get great singles action, you great singles matches that ultimately turns into one of the best tag matches you'll see all year, going to the old TLD blow-away match, one of the best tag matches I've seen in Stardom all year, which is saying something because we've seen 1 or 2 really good ones. 4 and 3/4 stars for me, my friend. Yes, watch this match and then give me a text after you watch it, because I want to let you know. I want to hear what you think about this match. And again, folks, if you've seen this match, you know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely terrific. We knew this might be one we all circled on our calendar, saying this could be one of the best matches of the tournament. Good luck to anything following this. Again, 4 and 3/4 stars for me. Next slide, Rob Goodwin. Guess what? Rob, I'll tell you a little secret. These 4 wrestlers, these two teams are really good at wrestling.
Imagine.
Maybe I have to take a look at my notes. My second favorite match of this tournament. The fact that they went back to back on how great these 2 matches were. Again, it reminds you of those big Cork and Hall 5-star. We just mentioned it. We did alternate commentary where we had Risa Sera versus Suzu Suzuki, then Soriano versus Starlight Kid, and then Mayu versus Momo. That's what a lot of this tournament is, especially this show. This match, 4.5 stars for me. This was fantastic. The way that Mayu is able to ramp up her offense on Hazuki. The way that Momo Kogo was able to fight from underneath from the double teamwork that is FWC. The fact that we get some great peach rock teamwork onto Koguma. We do see Momo Kogo is like submission Momo Kogo in this match. She does this rolling armbar into like a shoulder lock neck crank thing that I'm like, you know what? A lot of these Stardom wrestlers do use submission holds from time to time. Is Momo Kogo going into that trait? Because the way that she does it and the way that Koguma feeds for it and sells for it, I'm all for it. I'm all for Metal Momo Kogo. I forgot she did come out to a metal theme in that one match because it was a singles match. Metal Momo Kogo, if she's going into like this, using this like shoulder lock to like up her game that we've seen her been doing before, or that she's been able to up her offense quite a bit lately. If she's going into the shoulder lock for submissions, I'm all for it because it added to this match. I thought this was some really great stuff. FWC, once again, they go for the FWC double dive. That gets stopped with Momo Kogo and Mayu Iwatani. Eventually, everybody goes to the floor. Momo Kogo hits this picture-perfect springboard plancha to the outside. We see Peach Rock get Koguma back in the ring. We get the super kick sandwich from Momo and Mayu. Momo follows it up with a 619 DDT for a 2.999 count that everybody bit on the falsely. Eventually, Hazuki is able to wipe out Mayu with her own version of the suicide dive, and then Koguma using a spinning rear naked choke to get the tap out win on Momo Kogo. 4.5 stars for me, partner. That takes us to our main event, which you'll have to bear with me on the notes because, as we made mention earlier in the show, for some reason this show was up on Stardom World and then it got taken down. I literally watched this match while I was doing cardio at the gym this morning, and I obviously didn't have my notebook. So I'm literally going off this from what I remember. You get some really great headlock exchanges between these two to start. Eventually goes to the outside where you think Suzu would have the clear advantage. But Azumi does a great job fighting into Suzu's world into like this outside brawl, which I thought was really, really cool, really, really nifty. Suzu gets the strike advantage onto Azumi back in the ring. Azumi does what she does best, and that's use the high-speed offense to break down Suzuki's arm. Azumi hits an amazing C4 bomb onto Suzu. We've seen Azumi do the C4 bomb quite a bit over the last few years. This might be the best one ever. The way she's able to deliver it, the way she's able to do the bridge, the way that Suzu properly takes it on her neck in a safe way, I thought was great. Suzu fires back with strikes, a great forearm, a kick exchange between the two. Suzuki hits the tequila shot for a 2 count that everybody bid on. Suzu goes to the top rope. Azumi tries that top rope arm drag she likes to do. Suzu stops her, hits a top rope dolphin buster, follows that up with the locomotion German suplex for the 3 count. 4 1/4 stars, Rob Goodwin. So what I'm trying to say is, show was great. Every match, with the exception of the opener, which was fun, was 4 to 4 3/4 stars, my friend. This is a must-see show for not only Stardom fans, but for professional wrestling fans, because this, as a pro wrestling show, was absolutely fantastic and literally just tucked away in the middle of the Goddess of Stardom tournament.
I mean, that's the indication that this is a really, really good tournament. That it's just, it's. I know that obviously it's Suzuki's homecoming show, but effectively it's just a house show. It's just it's sort of Stardom World show, and yet we've had absolute bangers, which is crazy. I will let you know exactly my thoughts on these matches when I get back from football, which I'm already cutting it rather fine getting there. So I think without further ado, Matt Turner, it's time. It's time. It's Io and Kyrie watch time.
Absolutely, but I know you need to go to football. Me and you both need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to run through the 3 segments as fast as I can because, yes, last week we had no Io and Kyrie watch. Now we have 3 segments. We go to SmackDown, a 4-way preview for the Crown Jewel tag matches. We have Io versus Bianca versus Last Legend versus Piper Niven. And Rob Goodwin, let me tell you something. It got me so much joy when I was writing in my notes, Piper and Io, because I was like, Roddy Piper? But obviously Piper Niven and Io have great chemistry together from their matches in Stardom. So there's some really good stuff there. Io and Lash Legend have a really cool brawl on the outside. Bianca Belair is just so good. So I would love to see like a 5-match series with Io and Bianca, because Bianca really shines in this 4-way. She's one of the best wrestlers on this loaded roster that is the WWE. Her and Io, their chemistry together is just terrific. And then you have Lash and Piper that really round out this 4-way with a really great power advantage. The finish was really, really cool. They're getting into the waterfall style finishes. Piper Niven hits a Michinoku driver onto Bianca Belair. All the other seconds get involved, meaning the tag partners, so meaning like Kyrie, Chelsea Green, everybody else gets involved. It's a 4-way, no DQ. Bianca Belair is able to come back up, hits the KOD onto Last Legend, but then Io hits the moonsault onto Bianca Belair and steals the win, pinning Last Legend in what was a fantastic 4-way singles match. We go to Crown Jewel. We have a 4-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions as Io and Kyrie take on Jackson and Legend, take on Piper Niven, Chelsea Green, and the champions, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And again, this match starts out with Bianca and Io. These two are absolutely magic together. We know Saudi Arabia is a little bit of a different country when it comes to, certain women's rights. They have to dress full head to toe. We've seen in matches before where the women's matches really don't get that much of a reaction. This match got a major reaction, especially with Io and Kyrie. Everybody got over, but Io and Kyrie were crazy over on the show in front of like 60,000 people, which is really, really great to see. Kyrie winds up going absolutely crazy on everybody, hits forearms to everybody, hits the insane elbow plancha. Io follows that up with a moonsault to the floor. Again, Io and Kyrie crazy over in this match. Bianca catches clothesline from Bianca Belair hits a cactus clothesline onto Last Legend. Jade Cargill then is able to hit the Jaded onto Chelsea Green for a 2 count. That gets broken up. Bianca Belair hits a stiff forearm to everybody, basically saying to Kyrie, hey, any forearm that you can hit, I can hit better. Kyrie must have saw that and was pissed off because she comes in and hits this brutal cutlass that leads to a cutlass German suplex combination to Bianca Belair. They follow that up with a pop-up 7 Kyrie elbow. So Io and Kyrie, they've been on their stuff for the last few months. They're really on this stuff with this match, debuting new tag moves in this match, which I thought was terrific. We get an electric chair power bomb from Legend and Jackson to Kyrie. Poor Kyrie. Looks like she almost got planted through the middle of this ring. Eventually, though, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, they get the advantage. They hit the Doomsday device to Piper Niven for the 3 count. Shout out to the late, great Road Warriors. This was an absolutely terrific match, and it's just great seeing. We know how great Io and Kyrie are, but they're melding their tag moves together. That cutlass into the German suplex that then was followed up by the 7 Kyrie pop-up elbow was a thing of beauty. We go to segment number 3. This will be the quickest segment. We have a number 1 contenders battle royal, which Io does win by hitting a German suplex on the apron to Lila Valkyria. And then after she hits the German suplex and Lila takes the bump on the apron and she goes out of the ring, Io holds the bridge on the apron for a good 45 seconds. So we are going to see Io Shirai versus Liv Morgan for the Raw Women's Championship somewhere down the line. And I think that match is going to prove who is just the better wrestler per the PWI Women's 250 rap.
And as we know, Liv Morgan is the better wrestler, as proven by the PWI. Just before we go then, ladies and gentlemen, Stardom have got 3 tag league shows coming up over the next weekend. The cards have been announced. I'm going to whip through those now. The first one is on Saturday the 9th, which is at New Pier Hall in Tokyo. I'm only going to go through the tournament matches. In Blue Goddess, we have got Crazy Tiger Girl versus Star Fox. We have got Team Classroom versus Hate Supreme, the champions making their first tournament match debut. Wingori versus Devil Princess. Keep your eye out for that one. Anacon, which is Saori and Saki Kashima for those that don't know, versus Inaba and Yagami. And then we've got Peach Rock versus BMI 2000. On the 10th of November, which is Sunday, we are in TKP Garden City in Chiba, and these are your tournament matches. In Blue Goddess, Sakura Demon versus Hate Supreme, Wingori versus Team Classroom, BMI 2000 versus Psy Queen. It's an all hate experience. And then in Red Goddess block, Anacon versus Cup High Mate. And then Matt Turner, we have a Korakuen Hall show on Monday the 11th. It is a Korakuen Nighter, and the card for that has been announced. We have got T-Palm, Tam Nakano and Sayaka Kurora versus Psy Queen. Crazy Tiger Girl versus Reckless Fantasy, the unbeaten Reckless Fantasy, by the way. Star Fox versus Devil Princess, Peach Rock versus Anacon. It's Saki Kashima, it's My Way with Tani, it's Korakuen Hall. That match is going to go about 3 seconds. Wingori versus Sakura Demon, High Cup Mates versus BMI 2000, and then is what is probably going to be your main event, SaoriPoi versus Hate Supreme. So, Matt Turner, a lot of things to be very, very excited for over the next 3 days. We will be covering it for you next week. All 3 of those shows are live on Stardom World. And then don't forget, the week after, we have New Blood West 2 and Historic Crossover 2, Electric Boogaloo. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate your support. Thank you for listening wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to hit subscribe, that would really help us out, as would a 5-star review and a comment. It is a completely free way to help the podcast reach more people. You can also check out the website, stardomcast.com. Don't forget, it is shortly changing to Talk Joshi, but we will let all of you know when that is going to happen. It is only the website, not the podcasts, so please don't worry. You can join our Patreon if you so wish, if you want to get all of these episodes early and ad-free for as little as $1 a month. Patreon.com/The Stardom Cast. You can find us on social media everywhere at The Stardom Cast, though maybe not on Twitter for too much longer, if you know what I mean. You can also find us on YouTube at The Stardom Cast. You can find me at Real Rob Goodwin. Matt Turner, sign us off, and where can they find you?
Absolutely, folks. A quick plug. If you want to catch me on some comic book talk, I was on The Marvelous last week with my friends Eddie and Peter, talking all things about Agatha All Along, which I'm absolutely loving that series, and it just wrapped up last week. So check me out on The Marvelous this past week. Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is simply thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode. I hope you're enjoying this phenomenal tag league as much as me and the passion package Rob Goodwin is enjoying watching the tag league and talking all things great Joshi tag wrestling. Folks, we greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you. Like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. So all together, and everyone's different, everyone's special.